Wake up, gamers, because you're listening to the Big Think Dimension with Dan and Bob Video Games. That's the girl with the spine! Get her! Chris Wolfhart.
Taste my big boner.
And Dr. Agro.
Why can humans eat some plants but not others?
Here on GigaBoots. The Big of Boners!
That's almost how the read is.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Big Think Dimension number 265. We got a lot to talk about today. Like, you know. Whoever any of these people are. I don't know what's up with that. Also, we get to talk about Orphan, Scion of Sorcery.
Oh, yeah, based on the hit anime, right?
Yes, as I tweeted.
Huge.
Based on the hit anime that everyone knows and loves. But why would I need to explain that to you? You already know and love it.
You already ordered the VHSs.
Like recently? You ordered it?
Yeah.
I have the standard definition Blu-rays over here. I should just at some point just go, yeah, I'll just watch the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what we were watching before we did that stream.
There was this tweet earlier today that's like, I love that horror fans are like, no, I just want the movie to give me exactly what I want to see when I want to see it. I don't care about art. At least it's an ethos, and that's how I feel about about fantasy anime.
Yeah, no, it's true. Uh-huh. Yeah,
it's like, I want the main character to be really strong and floss on all the other characters, and for a girl with big boobs to be there. I don't need anything else. Just give me that.
And then there's a spell that probably shows up every episode that has a cool name, like the Hand of Pyro or Dragon Slave or something cool.
Yeah, you get to reuse the animation. And everyone claps.
Yeah.
Slayers is a step above that. I think it's really elevated by the fact Lena Inverse eventually gets to the point where it's like, my coffee's cold. I'm casting Dragon Slave.
Slayers is a show that is really, really good in total. If you watch the whole thing, it's amazing. Any particular episode is maybe not that great.
Is a dice roll.
Are you going to promise me that Orphan's the same way?
I never watched Orphan. I was too busy watching Slayers over and over.
How did... That seems
Point of
crazy.
fact, I've never seen an Orphan VHS. Like, I've never laid eyes on one.
Wow.
I have only seen the third season of Slayers, the last season of the original set of them before it came back like a decade later or more. Because those were the tapes my video store had. So I watched that entire season on VHS, the dub VHS. So now I'm like, oh God. Gory is Brock.
Yeah. They are all Pokemon voices. It's great.
It's great. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know how many episodes of Slayers I've seen. It's probably like 3.
Yeah, that show gets better as it goes too. So if you just watch season 1, and any episodes are there, they're not as good.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, are you gonna promise me the same is true about Orphan?
No, I've watched all of Orphan. I remember that show gets good, but oh man, I don't remember exactly when or how, or even if it actually got that good. Because I borrowed this from Xeon and watched their DVDs back in the day.
Oh, okay.
It might have just gotten cool, which isn't the same thing as good.
Yeah, and then the intro is always great. Like when he cuts the snake monster in two.
The snake with the sword.
That's
and it's like,
sick.
I remember back in the day, I couldn't be convinced to watch a show about a sorcerer stabber when I already had sorcerer hunters.
So here's the thing. We looked this up because there was a whole discussion during the stream, obviously. And Sorceress Stabber is like a US exclusive thing to the title, right? Because I think the Japanese title for Orphan is like...
Sorceress Stabber is the Japanese thing, I think.
No, I thought we looked it up during that stream. You were looking it up. I didn't look it up.
I don't remember.
But I think somebody was saying it's just Sorcerer Orphan in Japan or something. And I'm like, America.
Oh, I guess that is true.
Why are you stabbing? What's a sorceress stabbing?
Bizarre. Well, there is the stabber part is a thing in Orphan.
Once it gets good later on, right?
I mean, I think it's a thing that is revealed later on. The meaning of when you learn the true meaning of the word stabber, you will You will regret your words and deeds.
That's fair. That's fair. I often regret my words and deeds. So anyways, we streamed all of Orphan, Scion of Sorcery, the PS2 launch title last week, developed by Shade Inc., people behind some games that have passed through me entirely because it's all like really middle to low budget tier games that were like, curvy anime ninja girl.
They're still making games. Like the most recent game was last year. It was like Samurai Maiden, I think.
Yeah,
which I almost bought.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they make like really good trash.
Yeah, and I was like, man, like we spent most of that stream talking about how everyone's fucking cowards. Everyone's cowards because they will not make the proper successor that is another cinematic RPG. Because you need to understand, this is technically an RPG. Like, you want to sit there and be like, ATB games aren't turn-based. You know what isn't turn-based? This. That's what a not turn-based sort of ATB-ish game looks like. It's just a bunch of dudes in a room spamming buttons to do their attacks, hoping it moves them to the correct place at the correct time to dodge an attack, hoping that they blocked at just the right second because the hit frame occurrence in the spell is weirdly late a lot of the time. And it's what's up?
I was just like, in some ways, this is kind of like Lightning Returns.
It genuinely does come off as if 13 as a trilogy was fully real time, it would be Orphan, Scion of Sorcery. And this is not disingenuous. And I actually do think this is cool. If you went to make another, or you were insane and made an Unreal Engine 5 remake of this game, what I would recommend is put leveling mechanics in it.
Yeah.
Put good menus in it. Outside of battle, inside of battle, sacrilege. You're not allowed.
You can't use items.
You can't have a menu in the battle screen.
Jesus.
The closest you should ever put is the Lament of Innocence menu, where you hit the D-pad and a menu pops up at the bottom and you have to do it really fast.
It's so insane. It's like, yeah, it's insane how similar it is to Quest 64, down to like, we didn't make items work right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's clearly just not done in a lot of ways that Quest 64 was.
But it's also a lot more done than Quest 64. There's
obviously
so much content here, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it has a lot of content. They figured out how to make cutscenes. They actually got voice acting in there.
And the game's kind of gorgeous and runs in 16:9 as a launch title on the PS2.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's crazy. Just something about Quentin Flynn's delivery in this game is like, he really does. He has the exact right energy of like, because Orphan is obvious, like, here's my broken tabletop character that I'm making the protagonist of this fantasy series. He has the same right energy of like, that character should always sound like they're on the verge of saying a slur. And that is exactly how he sounds in this game.
Yeah, he does just sound unhinged.
When I'm not playing the game, the thing I like to remember is him going, the hand of pyro! And, you know, bite of lightning! Right? And the smoke of pain! But then I'm playing the game, and it's like, oh, this dude is like a deeply abusive older brother in his performance in every scene.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's like a good friend of mine is saying something. I should probably be mean to them right now. It does not matter what they're saying.
It's fucking insane. But that game's cool, and I actually really enjoyed that stream. It did throw us for a loop, because we did what was a longer route first, but then we did the other route because there are like 3 routes in this game, and you do all 3 to get the true ending, which I can only recommend you do if you truly do. Look at yourself, look inside yourself, and say, will I feel better about my life if I have seen the true ending of Orphan, Scion of Sorcery? If you think for a moment there's no way that's true, don't. Because that ending is not satisfying. No, you're better off not having it, frankly. But you do these 3 routes, and then you get the true ending. Weirdly enough, each route ended up roughly 4 hours. Like, you averaged them out 4 hours. It's weird because they're all supposed to be stories that happen on this island, but there's a weird time loop going on, and then all the three stories can't simultaneously be true. Bob aptly put it as they are actors in a play. It seems like they are playing the role of, because that role would shift in between the three stories, and we're both just like, what the hell's going on here? And you might say we found out what the hell was going on there, and maybe weren't satisfied.
Because maybe it was wrapped up in what? In 30 minutes?
Yeah, it was
something?
like 45 minutes, including the puzzling.
Yeah, it's like, that's not great.
You ready to have your mind blown? That's never happened from someone who said that sentence. That would be a first if someone said it and actually did blow my mind, but go ahead. This game's really neat. I have a real soft spot for PS2 launch titles. They're of a time and place where the types of games they were making were weird. Like, you get things like The Bouncer and Sky Odyssey and Orphan. And by and large, you don't get that scope and offbeat genre most other times, especially with that fidelity, because you might get it on the PS1,
right?
But then its ability to do things is so limited. You know, it can't render that many characters, it can't render that much field of view, and et cetera, et cetera. This specific moment of the PS2 launch is like a really crazy moment for, FromSoft is going to ship 3 fucking games simultaneously. What the fuck? Because they did Armored Core 2,
right?
They did Eternal Ring, and they did Evergrace, the GOAT.
Eternal Ring, like, we talk a lot about Evergrace and how cool it is, but Eternal Ring sticks with me way more because you get a Minecraft sword and then hit a baby cradle, and that's the final boss.
Yeah, I think it's impossible not to remember, like, you depleting the final boss's health bar and it's smash cutting to the baby going, "Is this death?" And like the screen swirls.
Yes.
And when we say a Minecraft sword, that is very literal. Just imagine someone modeled a Minecraft sword on the PS2 at launch, and that is pretty accurate. So yeah, with Evergrace, you got the OST that's a banger, and the weird vibes and dialogue. And then in Eternal Ring, you have the fact you're a weird, like, first-person mage.
The OST, which is a man in a kitchen, literally throwing stuff at walls.
Bob, he's cooking, okay? And it is lit. It is flame 100. Thank you. Yeah, that PS2 launch period, it has some amazing stuff, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the next time we get to do a PS2 launch game. Is it Smuggler's Run? Who knows? Is it Summoner? Probably not, but maybe. A real great time in games. Orphan could have used more music. It could have used not playing music occasionally.
It did that way more often than you'd ever expect from a PS2 game. Like, that's something I associate with more modern games. Like, yeah, we were in the open world. There's no music. Die.
Yeah. Yeah. You could be in 2 identical looking hallways, and the second one will play music, and the first one, which you spent way longer in, won't. Real weird. Weird.
I think it's such a weird choice that they like actually put Magic and the blonde girl from Orphan in this game. They are not playable. They made like OCs for this game that are playable.
Yeah, but Magic, who is called Magnus in this game, I guess they thought Magic was a stupid name and they changed it, which is pretty funny. Weirdly enough, the manual says Magnus, and then in parentheses to the side it says Magic, spelled with like a J, I think, and it's just like
right, which I think lines up with the spelling and other stuff.
It's just funny though.
It is
like, yeah, it's a Miles Tails Prower situation. Trust us.
Oh man, also that cat is the bluest cat ever modeled. The bluest thing on the PS2, maybe.
Yeah, I was saying that there's a really good chance that cat is illegal levels of blue when it comes to video.
Yeah.
Like, it literally, you can't broadcast that cat on television. That's how blue that fucking cat was. There's an effect in this game. It's supposed to be the trippy dimensional effect, and it's supposed to hue rotate. And the cat could not do that. It was too saturated. It was real good. It was real good. Orphan Scion Sorcery is a real fucking vibe. It was pretty funny. We raided Akiaji Margot after our stream finally ended late into the morning, and Margot's just like, look at this. She shows like the PS2 character of Orphan. Is just like, they don't design anime guys like this anymore. And it's like, yeah, they put all the polygons into like his lips, and they gave him eyelashes and shit, like eyebrows that were real strong. It's good, frankly. Like, we need more fuckboy representation. Aughts era fuckboy representation in media, frankly. Where's our fantasy animes with fuckboys in them?
We don't get that genre of protagonist very much anymore.
Yeah, it feels like Grand Blue's like they have a lot of like variety in guys you could be horny for, but they don't have that exact tangent.
No, they don't.
And that kind of guy can only be the protagonist. Like they don't work as like a side character.
Right, because then you don't view the world through their fucked up lens.
It has to it has to be the protagonist who's like just so much like he considers every single thing in the story beneath him because he's such a big dick Giga Chad and treats everybody poorly. Like we don't have that character type anymore.
Right.
I feel like that's almost how like a certain magical index that main character is a little bit.
He's way too he's not nearly aggro enough for that. Like, yeah, he's too nice a guy.
They slowly like that. It's like how people talk about how like Mickey Mouse slowly had all his character traits taken from him to be given to other characters because he has to be the bland mascot.
Yeah.
Like the fuckboy had all his fuckboyness like slowly shaved off over the decades until we're left with like the modern isekai protagonist who's just a dipshit and has like no aggression whatsoever.
Yeah, like you basically take the smooth gray core of the bland harem protag and just slotted it into fantasy series.
Yeah, and then he just becomes low energy, shitty to women, dumbass.
Yeah, just instead of like mean fuckboy, it became air quotes nice guy fantasy fulfillment, and yeah, it's a whole different sauce is what it is.
I want to see people to react to Orphan the same way they did to Scott Pilgrim. I can't watch this.
If you idolize him, you missed the point. Did you know people have gotten even stupider about that, where it's now like if you related to them, you missed the point. I'm like, I'm pretty sure in a lot of these cases you are meant to relate to them.
No.
And then you're supposed to go, wow, you shouldn't do the thing he did after that. Because specifically in this case it was about Fight Club, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to relate to the crushing oppression of modern society. You're not supposed to go, let's do terrorism. Right. That's the step where you're supposed to stop.
I've always thought it was weird when I saw a bunch of people who weren't dudes, ostensibly like prototypical oorah dudes, miss the point of Fight Club and think it's about dudes rule, we should beat people up for being different. It's like, that is not the text even of that film. Did you fucking watch it? Did you read the book? There's so much it's about, and all of it is not that, literally.
Dan, come on. Nobody's ever read a book.
Right.
I mean, I read.
No, nobody ever in human history. The last time anybody read a book was 1994.
That's not true. I read some vampire novels after that.
Okay, except for Harry Potter. People read Harry Potter until it stopped coming out.
That's it. That's the only thing.
And Aragon.
My brain's like, now combine it. Aragondre. Look, I don't want to talk about Aragon.
No.
It's so long ago. Can't we talk about more relevant things like Orphan Source?
Dan, does that game have robots in it?
My brain tells me yes, but I can't pull it.
I feel like it might have like a golem that's shaped like a robot. Something like that.
Wasn't the ending something with like nobody was real?
Let me hit the spoiler button. So, the ending of Orphan, Scion of Sorcery, is that you find out a machine god has been summoning people to the islands, unexplained how exactly, to assimilate them into itself and then make them play out these small roles so it can feed off of their emotions and run forever.
Mm-hmm.
So Orphan was, I guess, also taken in by it, and that's how the ship ended up on the island. He also had to live those 3 stories out with other people who were in the machine that were living out those 3 stories, and then he blows up the machine god. Thank you and good night.
Yeah,
It's not a great end.
It's some of the typical fantasy stuff, but actually it's super far in the future. Which I don't know if even lines up with the actual
anime
series.
I don't know. There might be a machine thing on an island that does weird shit.
Right. There might even be that right now out in the real world. We don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen every island.
Right.
If I had, a celebrity would have killed me.
Yes.
So anyways. That's Orphan Scion of Sorcery.
Yeah.
Bob, reading Rainbow style, would you recommend this book?
I cannot wholeheartedly recommend you go beat Scion of Sorcery. It's a neat game to play. Play until you're done. And don't do whatever one we did first. Don't do the campaign we did first, because that has the worst boss fight in the game.
Oh, it's true. That thing was rotten.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we would have gotten this fire sword no matter which campaign we did first. So if we did what they thought we would do first,
Uh-huh.
then we would have gotten that fire sword, and I could have owned that spider instantly because it was weak to fire.
Yeah, so talk to Magic on the boat.
Do not talk to the annoying girl.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was her name?
I don't remember anymore. I should.
Starts with an L, doesn't it? I don't know. I don't like her. Like at all. Cleo, there we go. Thank you, chat. Because Bob said Chloe once.
Yes.
And I was like, that's funny. Yeah, I'd recommend playing it. Maybe beat a route, and then you're good.
Yeah.
In fact, I tried to look up other videos about Orphan Scion of Sorcery on YouTube just to see if, hilariously, our live stream is the highest quality video of Orphan Scion Sorcery on the entire internet. 1, yes.
Yeah, of
2,
course.
second place goes to our video from years ago of giving games a chance, Orphan Scion of Sorcery. 3, I didn't find many reviews, but the one I did watch was like, I did one route and stopped. And I was like, understood. Literally, I not questioned at all. Unlike the bouncer, where you gotta get all 5 endings. What are you doing? You gotta do it. Someone out there is very scared right now because they're like, "What do you mean 5?" And that's how you know they aren't bouncer pilled enough,
Right?
They probably never seen the person that Cole Foe's talking to on the phone, and they've never battled her.
Yeah. Have you even played the bouncer if you haven't seen that?
Obviously not. You have to know about Cole Foe's on-phone assistant, who they made a whole model for, and she shows up in one CG cutscene, barely visible,
Uh-huh.
and then she shows up as the end battle of that ending. A very specific ending.
Yeah, on the PS2 we used to do that.
Yeah,
Just like-
we used to make a thing and use it once.
Right? And you might be super hard to find.
Yep. Man. Someday we'll end up back there by crashing the entire industry.
Uh-huh.
And then deciding the Vita looked good enough. Because it's true.
It's true.
We're like one Black Swan event from that happening. Like, we could wake up any day and it's like there was some bizarre investor run and now Ubisoft is out of business.
Oh, yeah.
And now EA is out of business because it scared everybody to pull their money out of EA. And now this other company's out of business because it scared everybody to pull their money out of that.
Yeah, no, that seems incredibly likely. I feel bad for anyone who went to like a game development college to get, for a lack of better term, possibly an institutionalized education.
I feel like education should have a few sets of quotes around it. considering every single time a game sells 20 million copies, you go to Twitter and people are posting clips saying, every single game design course I took told me not to make anything like this.
Yeah, weirdly enough, they rate.
They teach you to make Far Cry, and that's it. That's that's what those classes are for.
Everything I've ever seen teaches you weird engagement in the exact way YouTubers and streamers think of engagement. Yeah. Most everything I've seen is that. Real weird. Anyways, I really hate how I have to hold X to do anything on a menu in a video game nowadays. That gets old fast.
It does.
I really don't. I really hate the holding shit. Like, man, come on. At least let me go into the options and be like, I'm an adult.
Right. Yeah. It's like,
I
dude,
know the
do
buttons
this.
I'm pressing.
Do this when I'm about to shatter a priceless vase and no other time.
Yeah.
Some games do that.
Yeah.
Some games go, you're going to need to hold for this one, Chief. In fact, I think Destiny did that based on rarity of you destroying a thing.
Right.
It would only slow you down for oranges and perps.
World of Warcraft, if you're to destroy anything blue or higher, it's like you have to type delete in this box before we will delete this.
That's funny. Anyway, Orphan Scion of Sorcery. That's a pretty cool game. Right, Bob?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. And honestly looked kind of nuts.
Good voice cast, too.
Incredible voice cast. It's got Colonel from Metal Gear Solid. It's got Raiden from Metal Gear Solid. It's got... so there's... Princess Morbucks from
Yes.
Powerpuff Girls is the voice that one character's doing, and Timmy Turner is the other voice that the other lady is doing for a child.
Yep. It's great.
Oh, and Jimmy Neutron's also in it. It is stacked. It's a lot to deal with, especially when chat goes, yeah, that's clearly Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd Parents. And I'm like, you have ruined me for the rest of this game. Anyway. It was a normal kid until...
I envy you the years you've had not automatically picking up Tara Strong whenever you hear her.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's it about Orphan Scion of Sorcery. Aside for that, I played Rock Band 4 after this Orphan Scion of Sorcery stream that was 12.5 hours long. I did a 5.5 hour Rock Band 4 stream that obviously doesn't have a VOD for reasons that are super fucking obvious. Yo, I am shocked that did not destroy my voice the next day.
Yeah, that's surprising.
18 fucking hours? 5.5 was singing?
Yeah, I was like, were you singing?
I was trying.
Okay.
After 12.5. Yeah, no, I spent a huge chunk of that singing. Rock Band's pretty cool. It is unfortunate the current state it is with the latency and all these other things. They should have made a wired guitar at some point with 1,000 hertz polling. The most recent version of that game should be more feature complete because it doesn't even have a versus mode. You can't do sing-offs at all anymore.
That's so weird.
You can't do single instrument verses anymore. You will be a band and you will like it. Yeah, it also feels like the guitar, like... That is weird. Bob, you just disappeared entirely.
Oh my God, what happened?
I have no
Did
idea.
the camera turn off?
Bob, you upset it. Maybe the camera did turn off. You go check that while I finish
That
talking
must have
about it.
happened. Bob's just gone. He's invisible. He's put on his invisibility cloak.
Well, I guess turn it off and turn it back on, the future of cameras. Bob, is a quick question. Is your side of the room infinitely dark? And I just didn't notice until now? It is not even turning off. Well, then, I'll finish talking about Rock Band 4 and try to figure that out. Are you? You go ahead. Well, now we wait for it to die. Anyway. Yeah, no. Rock Band 4 has a lot of problems. They removed the wish list from the online store, and I was like, that's fine. I don't need a wish list. What they didn't tell you when they did that update that removed that feature is, okay, so just so you know, every single time you go to any different screen, and even multiple times per screen, and maybe sometimes once a letter when you're typing in the name of a song, and it's going to pop up, wish list not found, wish list not found, wish list not found, over and over and over and over and over. And I'm like, what? You're making me miss the PS3 right now.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Also, it's heartbreaking every time. It's like, I've had this song since Rock Band 1 or Rock Band 2. Or it's in Rock Band 3, and then in Rock Band 4, it's like, yeah, that song didn't export. It's gone.
Neat.
You have no Modest Mouse songs. Cool. Thank you. Also, people were saying, but I didn't test it, that they took out the key support, like keyboard, like the key.
Wait, really?
For Rock Band 4, yeah.
What?
The instrument introduced in Rock Band 3.
Yeah, that thing was really cool, and I always wanted to try it. But it was too complicated.
Yeah, no, that's
now it's just
way too
gone
hard for me. Yeah, it's just gone. That just doesn't work.
That's insane.
Yeah, no, the Rock Band 4 situation sucks.
No, that's clearly not a product they should have made.
It sucks so bad that we're just like never gonna have one of these again.
What are you talking about? Now Fortnite's definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't go away in a year when Tim Sweeney looks at the numbers and it's like, it's not the most profitable thing in human history. It has to go.
Yeah, the weirdest part is like, they don't have singing in that version. It's like, guys,
wait, what?
Karaoke is internationally loved. What the fuck are you thinking not putting singing in this?
Yeah, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Right now they have controller inputs. That's going to support guitar soon. The pre-orders for the guitar just went up, and it's shipping out sometime, I think, the end of April, but it might have been early April. I'm pretty sure it's end of April. And that's the PDP guitar. I'm pretty sure it's 140. Could be 130. I'm going to pick up one and hope for the best.
Yeah, I remember when we sold PDP stuff at GameStop. It was not great. It was not great.
I was in a conversation with a human being who said, what is a lower life form than PDP? As they went to make a joke about someone else making an accessory for their game. And I was like, rough.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like sub-Mad Cats.
So anyways, it's 130. I'm saying multiple times, confirmed in chat. I'm gonna do it because I love Rock Band, and now I have it in the place where I sleep and live. So it's easy enough to just play a few songs, and then whatever. And as it turns out, all my guitars are fucked up.
What?
Some of them were fucked up before I even got them.
It's almost like those things are really bad build quality.
Yeah, it's almost like the guy who invented the Guitar Hero guitar kind of made fun of them for how bad the build quality was. He's like, yeah, our average return rate on our guitar was this number, and it's something sane, like, 8% or something.
Okay.
Like, probably lower. And he's like, yeah, and I heard through the grapevine theirs was like 60%. I was like, yeah, I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah, I feel like you even bought a new one each time a new one became available, and they were all like that. They never actually improved build quality.
Why would you say such a radical and untrue thing? Yeah, anyways, that was a good stream. The timer did go down. The timer did go down during that. You're not going to get back. Nanner. Hey, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
What did you play in the last week?
I played some stuff. Some stuff I didn't even think I'd be able to play. Like a game we covered on Big Think a few weeks ago, Vindictus Defying Fate. Which this is based on Vindictus, that MMO action game from, I believe, ArenaNet. It's one of those Korean companies.
Yeah, Nexon. It's Nexon.
Nexon. Yeah, so this is their, weirdly enough, just regular linear action game that has a little bit of like a Dark Souls structure to it. I say that because it has bonfires, but it doesn't have a stamina bar, and it seems to be a straight line for this playtest. So it's obviously they cut out all the systems for this as well. Like every treasure chest has a gigantic work in progress sign above it. Like literally in universe, they just built this. There's no stats you can look at. There's no equipment you can look at. You can change costumes. They give you 2 characters to try out because each character is like a pre-made character with our own moveset. instead of something like a make it yourself and choosing weapons. But it seems kind of neat, and the graphics look pretty nice. I ended up finding this because random Twitter videos are like, look how much jiggle physics it has. I'm like, wait, it's out? And there are two characters. So the one character is the guy who has like 4 costumes. They're all him in knight armor. And then the other is a girl who are 4 costumes with her, and various things are even modern day outfits. It's like 11 costumes. It's ridiculous. And one of them's like Sophie Tia from Soul Calibur.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, it's neat. It's really heavily parry based. So at least for the girl, like the guy can't block or parry. He has 2 swords, and he has a little bit better of dashing. Like for his dodge maneuver, he can do it 2 times in a row. But the other girl's, I think, more interesting because it actually has a bunch of mechanics based around the blocking and the parrying. Like literally, oh yeah, they have enemy attacks are highlighted yellow, and that means you can't block them. You can only parry them. And it's like, that other guy can't even block. What are you talking about? It let me play like 3 areas. And like I said, they're basically just straight line sort of areas. The first one's filled with werewolves. The second one, oh, no, it was 2 areas. My bad. The second one was an ice cave where I fought trolls. It's worryingly, it feels like their way of making it harder. Like the farther I played in, they're like, it's not going to be more complicated patterns to learn. The enemy's just going to have more health. Like, it didn't even feel like they were doing more damage. It was just, no, you will be fighting this guy for, instead of 1 minute, 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. It was like oh.
And I'm assuming they didn't just, like, they didn't give you a way to perform better and do damage faster.
No, not at all. Because you have your basic, like, 3-hit combo that you can alter with the triangle button to do like a heavy attack, like you dissect in something like Dynasty Warriors, and then you have 4 skills.
Yeah, no, that is the point at which I just decide I don't like a game anymore. When I'm fighting a boss and go, okay, I have proved that I have accomplished the skills necessary to do this, and I'm halfway through the health bar.
Yeah, and then they, most of the bosses didn't even feel like they pulled out a new move later in the health bar either. It's like, just do this. Keep doing this. So started out pretty hyped for it, and then by the time I finished up the demo, I was like, man, this is rough. I hope that you balance this better, because who knows, maybe the RPG elements will help alleviate some of that, but I don't know.
I figured I'd give people an update on what happened.
Okay.
It just hard crashed. It's the first time I've ever seen that camera do that. The funniest part is that it froze, and it wasn't a black screen by the time I got to it. It was almost the color of the background exactly, but a single flat color the whole screen, which obviously couldn't happen.
No
matter how careful you were pointing that camera at that wall, even if you could zoom in that far, which that lens cannot.
Right. Yeah, it was basically just like that bright white blue.
Yeah. And yeah, so that was very weird. We've never had one of these Blackmagic cameras freeze like that. I think it may have overheated, because when what did I do? As I started to take it apart, the fan kicked up for a second, and then I pulled out the battery and then properly restarted it, and it's fine now.
Okay.
But sadly, very sad to announce, that is our nicest camera. That is the one we're supposed to film outdoors with that has built-in neutral density filters. So we're going to hope that was a one-time fluke.
Right.
Because I don't remember off the top of my head how expensive that one was, but it was our most expensive. I love technology.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. That sucks.
Yeah, it was $2,500. It's okay. Blackmagic will make a new camera, and then I'll just buy that, and it'll be fine, right, Bob?
No.
No, it's fine. I just need a new camera this time. I just need a fix, Bob. Why can't I have my fix?
We buy their production cameras.
Hell yeah. There we go. Make this place look like a fucking TV set.
Mm-hmm.
Play some studio applause when my ass walks into the living room.
I think I've only seen those like in anything other than their website and the behind the scenes for Giant Bomb back in the day. I feel like they got some.
Sorry, say that again?
I think I've only seen them outside of like their website and some behind the scenes for Giant Bomb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Speaking of poor purchases, Dan, did you see the deal Samsung is doing right now with TVs?
No?
If you pre-order a new TV, they will give you a 65-inch Ultra HD TV for free in addition to the one you bought.
What?
These are serious fucking TVs, though. They're like the 3500.
Yeah,
tier.
I'm sure they're the QD OLED TVs. Oh
They also have
God.
OLEDs up, normal OLEDs.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it's like, yeah, we'll just give you a 65-inch Ultra HD TV.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
That is fucked up.
That a lot of deals now are getting stupid. Like I used the Popeyes app the other day because spoilers: if you're eating fast food and you're not using an app, you're paying too much.
Literally happened to me when I still ordered the correct items and there was no sale because the man at Wendy's went, "You want a meal? You want a drink with that? Or what do you want to drink?" And I go, "Yeah, give me a cold brew." And then he just rang up the cold brew separately, gave me no drink with the combo. And I'm like, "Oh, cool. I overpaid by almost $4. That's thanks."
But I ordered the sandwich meal. It's like the only deal we have that's worth anything is if you buy the sandwich meal, we give you a second sandwich. And I'm like, this is the Popeye sandwich. That's not small.
No.
What the fuck? I took it because it's free. Why wouldn't I take it? But what's the point of it? Like I gave it to somebody. Like, here, fucking have fun. But it's like, what?
If you're watching,
Gee, I wonder why Americans are all fat.
Yeah. If you're watching live, by the way, there's a prediction up right now. Will Bob disappear again?
I'm gonna go. I will personally say no. It was just a once in a lifetime freak accident. And they won't have to worry about that ever again.
Like if anything happens, he won't go down alone. So I'm gonna say no.
Bob, I'm gonna bet on no as well because I don't want to believe in anything else.
That's a good way to vote, right? I don't want to believe in anything else happening. Anyways, Bob, sorry to interrupt your Vindictus segment.
That's fine. I was pretty much done.
Okay. What else did you play?
I also tried the Sandland demo. Did anyone else give that a shot?
Yeah,
no,
I got to play that.
I forgot.
Isn't it really weird that it doesn't have any story and it's just like, here's the open world, go?
Yeah, I found it like it was. I kind of wish I knew how the game was shaped, but it was really neat that they're like, here's how the shit drives. Here's 40 square yards of desert.
Yes. It's a neat idea, but I feel like it didn't sell me on the game at all.
Right? Because I'm like, okay, fighting big stuff with the tank is fun, but you've got to tell me what the quests are like or what the area goals are, because this game could either be slop or it could be really cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, literally all I found to do was fighting random hordes of enemies. That seemed to be it.
Yeah, like there were a couple of mini dungeons that didn't seem to have a point or an end to them.
Yeah, they had like
one of them
resources.
did a loop and the other one just dead ended. It had a room in it that looked like if I had different machine parts I could maybe get through, but
oh, I actually, you might have found the room. I fell into a different way because I fell into like a sinkhole and dropped into the end of a dungeon and walked out.
Weird.
Yeah, but there was nothing down there, so I don't know if that was really anything. I was surprised that like the main character himself had a combo like that you could play as him and fight stuff, and he has DBZ moves.
It is pretty cool.
The demon?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing is that he's just like a badass, can whip the ass of anything they run into.
Huh.
I mean, it is kind of easier, especially in dungeons, if you're just fighting little stuff, to jump out and just punch them.
But yeah, anything too big and you're like, no, get the giant mech out. Which is really cool that you have the Dragon Ball style capsules with the mechs in them.
I wonder if the old man will be playable because he fights some guys hand to hand in the manga. He like dual wields Tonfa.
If you're not in a vehicle, he'll do support moves, like he'll drive the tank.
Yeah, and you have like command him to do special ones too.
I really love the vehicle customization.
Mm-hmm.
Like switching the guns out, switching the engines, switching the fenders for more armor or lighter or faster, switching the specials out. It's a really good level of being able to build a vehicle to do the thing you want it to do, especially in a game where you're going to have a bunch of different vehicles. So you could build like the super heavy slow one, and then this one is just for moving around, and then this one is just the little leg jumper that has missiles and more missiles and nothing but missiles.
Yeah, you can fully customize that, and then there also has a skill tree for Beelzebub, which looks like it'll add new moves and stuff. And a skill tree for the other characters too, I think. I think the old man has skill tree.
Hmm.
One thing that bugged me a lot was there's no story, but the characters do banter.
Oh my god.
And they just...
Don't they ever?
They just repeat the same ones over and over again. I'm like...
yeah, like, honestly, for the demo, it didn't seem like a bad decision. It seemed like something went wrong in the code. Like, it was too often. It was the same lines. It was over and over and over.
Yeah, and sometimes it was about enemies, so it kind of felt like that Dragon's Dogma thing of he's weak to lightning and fire bows, but then other times it'd be a full conversation that had nothing to do with what was happening.
You know, we should probably use that camp. It's a communal camp. Like, I'm in the middle of a dungeon, my guy. What the fuck are we talking about?
You should go along this beaten path. That's a road, then that'll probably lead you to somewhere safe. It's like, what are you talking about? This is just a desert. There's nothing. There's no pass.
Yeah, no, it was clearly just broken. Although the old man's voice actor in English sounds kind of like Bruce Campbell, so that was neat.
Huh, I did not notice that. But yeah, I'm still interested in the game, but this did not sell me on it. I might pick it up when it gets to like 30 or 40 or something.
I mean, that's probably what I'm going to do just based on how this year is going. But
I know, right?
But like I saw the like the new trailer they launched today. Like the game looks really neat. I'm terrified that it's like, I am confident that it isn't going to be, you're in this area, go fight the same enemies 15 times and we're just going to call them different quests. It actually looks like you're going to be like doing stuff and there's a story and going through new areas and there's levels and shit.
Huh. Yeah, I really wasn't expecting that with this demo. I did like going to the edges of the desert in this and hitting an invisible wall and falling off my motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, cool, there's an obvious pass, and the map doesn't give you any hints that like, it's going to cut you off. It's just you hit a wall, and then that's when you know it's over. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say about Sandland. Did you have anything else to say, Agro?
Not in particular.
By the way, Agra, I want to thank you for holding my dance pad that only appears when Bob moves his arm up and then back down. On a related note, I also played Step Mania this week. I took my song archive that I had on an external hard drive, booted it back up, got my folder called GigaBoots. You know, some real hits in there, like you know, the Watamote theme song, the opening, Tenchi no Yubikiri from His and Her Circumstances. Azumanga Daioh, Raspberry Cake. Lots of really good DDRing songs, you know, from DDR, but also other places. It was a good time. I did that, and I gave fitness boxing another shot. And hey, Bob, remember how my Joy-Cons were giving me trouble on a Ring Fit?
Yeah.
They were also stealth giving me trouble on fitness boxing. So that's a lot better using newer Joy-Cons.
That makes sense.
Fitness boxing, really simple. I haven't gotten to the point where it's like, okay, now crouch in between punches. And people tell me it is terrible at detecting that.
Of course it is.
So,
it doesn't have anything else like on your waist.
No.
Yeah, no.
So in what was it? Fitness Boxing 2 or Fist of the North Star Boxing. And I suppose the upcoming Miku Fitness Boxing. There is a toggle you can set to just auto tell it. Yeah, I crouched. Fuck you. Just count the crouch, okay? But yeah, I've been enjoying the game so far. It actually works really well as a workout, which is to say my arms really fucking hurt. That's it.
Cool.
Step Mania is real good. I wish someone in the United States of America would make that dance pad. Shipping is killer.
Yeah.
It's okay, just stop by Poland. Yeah, I'm interested in the Miku Fitness Boxing and also Fist of North Star Boxing Fitness Boxing because people in the Fit Posting channel in the GigaBoots fan Discord, a lot of them regularly play the Fist of North Star one and are excited for the Miku one.
Yeah, I'm curious. Maybe I'll pick up one of those if it goes on sale or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like Miku's so international. There's no way they're going to release in Australia and Japan, but not America.
That's impossible. Right?
Spiff reminds me the dance pad shipping is only $170 US. Wow. Yeah. And I see Meadow B in chat saying the only bummer with Fist of North Star Boxing is that it has a terrible dub. I don't know. That might be funny.
That might be.
It might be funny at a certain point. But yeah, now I've covered everything. Oh, and I'm back on my shit again with the fucking diet and exercise. Hey, did you know celery's really cheap? It's almost like everyone fucking hates celery, and that's why
almost like
cheap.
it sucks. So.
Yup.
Yeah, celery does suck. The only time celery is to put in chicken or tuna salad and literally nothing else. It has no other usage.
So I'm using the celery as the vessel for the tuna salad, and that works out pretty well. Problem is, there was an online recipe that was like, hey, you know how to make that tuna salad even healthier? Replace that Kewpie mayo with half an avocado and Greek yogurt. And I'm like, bro, this tastes too fresh now. I already got the freshness from the fucking celery, and now this is wrong and bad.
You know what's easier than doing all that? Using light mayo from the store.
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna do half Kewpie mayo, half that recipe. Because yeah, it was good, but I needed to salt it and make it more savory through things like mushroom soy sauce and spices and stuff. Anyways, celery, it's cheap. Are you on a diet? Do you hate yourself enough to eat celery? Consider it. It's like 94 cents for like 19 stalks or something around here, which is a fuckload. You know, they make large, like, imagine an industrial size mayo jar.
Yeah, okay.
But like now shrink it to about 60 or 50% size. They make that for Kewpie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fancy.
The problem was the price scales up correctly.
Sure.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not helping anyone.
No, like that's just for someone who goes through it really fast. Maybe a family.
Maybe
that loves Kewpie mayo.
I mean, I could see it for a restaurant.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, a restaurant. That makes perfect sense. Even a family, I'm like, does no one like a squeezable bottle?
No. They hate it, actually.
It pisses them off every day. They're like, I gotta squeeze this fucking bottle again.
I'm just thinking of how my squeezable Kewpie bottle in my fridge now, it's on the door that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's drooped all the way down and made a perfect half and half, like half of the top and half of the bottom is filled with mayo.
Yeah.
And it's just stuck there.
Are you squeezing from the middle? Like,
yeah. Like
a toothpaste freak.
Yes.
You're like, like you're trying to heavenly sword reception technique your mayo. Do you stick the nozzle in your mouth and then do that? Pro tip,
That's
you
after
can
I
now
take the
drink
nozzle
mayonnaise.
off and then
Oh, yeah, of course. You don't want the tiny nozzle slowing you down.
now I'm remembering like gifs of anime girls who do that and then squeeze the whole thing out onto something. It's like, oh man, what the heck was that?
You did see that Stardew Valley's massive update just came out. and you can now drink mayonnaise.
Oh, that's what that meme is about.
Yes.
Huh.
Fuck, I'm gonna have to play that again. I'm gonna have to play Stardew Valley again. Every time it gets some huge update, it's like there goes 100 hours.
Is it beneficial to drink mayonnaise in this game?
Presumably, it would provide sustenance and stamina. That's why, like any reason you consume food in a farming game is that. So presumably, you are just some mayo baron, and you just have it on you.
So mayonnaise was just added to the list of consumable items marked food, not like there is a new mayonnaise chugging mechanic.
We have a new sports drink for you, fellow gamer. It's called mayonnaise.
They snackified this drink way too hard.
There's almost not a drink left.
Almost, but not quite.
Not quite.
Somebody in chat was saying the anime girl is Hijikata. I don't know. Anyway, I also tried Rogue Energy Drink because they have a sampler where if you pay for the shipping, you get to try 3 different flavors. So I tried it. The blue raspberry's fine. The orange was a non-caffeinated one, so I had that after I did Pistol Whip. Because I did 3 days in a row where it was like, what was it? Yeah, it was fitness boxing. Then I realized my arms were dead, so I couldn't do Pistol Whip. Step Mania, and then Pistol Whip. That one's pretty tasty, too, if you want a non-caffeinated sports drink. Because it's basically that at that point. It's just got B vitamins.
Yeah, I was wondering what even made it an energy drink if it wasn't caffeinated.
Yeah, it just becomes like a B vitamin chocked full sports drink sort of thing. A lot of their flavors are that.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm happy to say I like Rogue Energy a lot more than Gamer Supps. You know, because the sampler is almost fucking gone. Meanwhile, the 2 jars of Gamer Supps I had over there, I have had less of that than I did the sampler so far. Because I tried a very small amount and went, this sucks. I wish I liked Gamer Supps. We bought it for that Dotathon goal.
Yes.
And one of the flavors we bought was for Shibuya Kaho, who rated us once. And I was like, oh, cool, you got a new flavor? Sure, I'll try. I just don't like Gamer Supps, period, flat out. The way they make the powder, the stuff, the way it tastes sweet is wrong. Apparently, erythritol does not work in that format for me. Whereas this is more like G Fuel. Also, I realized you can just order G Fuel individually on Amazon, so I went and got the Mega Man one.
Oh, okay.
That's my favorite flavor of any of these motherfucking things. And so I build out even more of my catalog of caffeine as I have a dozen teas and coffees, soda, normal energy drinks, juiced energy drinks, powdered energy drinks, a cold brew maker, an AeroPress.
Becoming a problem.
I just like to have options. Maybe I only want to get this caffeinated, or maybe I want to get this caffeinated. You don't know. The important thing is that you pay attention to it and don't get Panera lemonade that kills you 4 refills caffeinated. That's the important thing. Though, to be fair, I'm pretty sure nowadays they would cut you off well before you got that 4th refill. And be like, get the fuck out of our store. What are you trying to do here? Because they're aware. It's behind the counter now. They could not be aware. Unless it's someone who lived under a rock and got hired by Panera in the last, 2 weeks. Anyways. That's that. Did you ever try the Mega Man?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. One thing's for sure. I started liking these things a lot more when I got the mixer with the ball. With the spring ball in it. Because that really helps it break up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I wish there was a human I could throw this Gamer Supps at. Believe it or not, I don't want to own a tub that says Guacamole Gamer Fart 9000 on it.
What? No way.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
Did you play anything else?
I did play some other stuff.
Okay.
I played Stratosphere. Stratosphere? I think that's right.
How do you fucking spell this?
It's STRATOSPEAR.
Yeah, it's Stratosphere. Okay.
Yeah, this is a character action game made by the developer Suda Regalia years ago, I believe. Like, they did it for what I assume was a game jam. It's on itch.io. And it has, like, it says Stratosphere, Jam. So I'm assuming that was at some point a Game Jam project.
Well, how's the soundtrack? Is it like a bop?
Not really.
Okay, then yeah, probably.
It's also like 10 minutes long.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
All right.
It's free on itch.io, or you can pay them if you want, because that's how itch works.
Right. Itch is pretty cool.
But it's pretty neat. You can see like some foundational stuff that ended up in Pseudo Regalia, like some of the climbing mechanics are there, but it doesn't have a built-out jumping system really. You have a basic double jump. You don't have anything like a long jump or anything like that.
Or we're slam jump.
No, it's much more focused on trying to be a Devil May Cry. So you have like air combos, and you can actually throw the sword out, or the spear rather, and it's very much like the mechanic in Pseudo Regalia where you can drop the tonfa thing. But this will actually stick in the enemy, and then you can punch them to get it out of them, and they also drop Hell's Stories when you do that.
Wow, this is really building towards that, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty neat. I suggest you try it, but it's only like 10 minutes long.
It's worth noting the dev's name is Ritzler, Rittzler, which every time I've read it, ever since the Wonka thing happened, I'm like, the Ritzler would be someone in this horrible AI written play.
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah, it's over on their itch.io. The Ritzler presumably makes a different chocolate, right? Or a different candy.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, just has sharpened candy canes. Oh, hey, you know what we watched? We watched the holiday Christmas special for Murderville, the Netflix show where BoJack Horseman's voice actor / the guy who played Lego Batman in the Lego movies, plus the guy who plays Job, I think, on Arrested Development, is a cop. And the whole point of the show is that there is a script. There is a murder. They've scripted it out. There are hits. There are clues. But every episode they have a celebrity guest and they do not have a script. And they do not know what is up. That show is great. That show is incredible. That is what the clip "I only murdered her because I wanted her dead" came from. That Christmas special was really good, actually. I was surprised because, Spiff was there. So I thought his curse would ruin it, too. But no, it just ruined 2 different Columbo episodes. He tried.
He did.
And then I went, no, we're skipping this one. I can tell your curse already worked on it.
Yeah, Columbo shows up in the first 10 minutes. You know it's a bad episode. Don't watch it.
Yeah, that thing was insane. There are 2 90s Columbo movies / episodes that are like not Columbo at all. And somehow he was there for both. Man, that second one, though, it's like, the police department decides to investigate where $4 million has been buried, but they need to complete this jigsaw puzzle in order to figure out where it's been buried. And these families put the names of the people who have it half on one list, half on. Does any of this sound like Columbo? God!
Yeah.
And then the other one was like your average CSI murder drama from like 1992. So try to just put that together in your brain to the point where they even hired somebody who's a regular actor on Frasier, who at that point, I think is Mad Dog is his name on Frasier. At that point, he had just come from being in Silence of the Lambs. So they were even just like, we're just making this shit.
He has the scripts laying around. We can probably write Columbo into them.
They were wrong. I mean, I guess they could have. They didn't.
Right.
Columbo's like on the periphery, right? Just like, I would like to be in this movie. And the actual cast of the movie's like, no, stay out. We're going to solve it. Anyway. Did you play anything?
I also played more Unicorn Overlord. I'm sorry.
Bob, you're a son of a bitch. But that game is so good.
It is so good.
Okay, give me 2 more minutes to walk away.
I think it's really funny that on some of the menus, in some of the cutscenes, it'll show the new nation you're going to is called Drakengard.
What?
But they don't want to say that in the English version, so they changed it on a lot of menus to Drakenhold. But it really bothered me because the first time they introduced it, they're like, it's a pre-rendered cutscene, so you can't change it. And it says Drakengard, and I'm like, why do they keep saying Drakenhold? It says Drakengard, I swear.
Was that? Oh my! I thought I just wasn't paying attention. Did that happen?
I'm pretty sure. I thought I was going crazy because they kept saying the wrong thing. But yeah, that's the game's real good. Did you get character class upgrading?
Yes. So I got to see the main character's promoted run on the world map, which is just Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force's run animation.
What?
If you don't mount up and run on the world map with the main character promoted, it looks like Carl's run animation.
You can get off the horse?
You start off the horse. You have to press a button to get on the horse.
No, when I was playing, he was on the horse immediately after I did the upgrade.
Not how it went for me.
What? I need to try and find out how to do this.
I think it's R1.
Huh. All right, I'll try that.
It's just so funny. Imagine like lovingly rendered vanillaware Carl running. Like, hey baby, I know you have a ring on that finger.
The game continues and keep introducing more and more classes, which seems crazy. It slowed down a little bit. But I also found the Coliseum.
So you've met Guts Mommy.
Yes. That is a lot.
That by volume, that is a lot.
Yes. I think they realized exactly what they made and that everyone would want her on their team. And that's why they made her the hardest character to get.
Oh my god, like with the class promotions, Berengaria, the female sellsword. Because like when I came here a couple of weeks ago, I was like, yo, yeah, you just at the end of the demo, they straight up had Lance Connects. They didn't call them that; they called them sellswords. Then you promote them, and they're Lance Connects, and they have the straight up Flamberge Zweihanders. I cried a little. I squeed and I cried.
Yeah, I need to upgrade a sellsword. I keep upgrading other classes and laughing at your like good buddy who's definitely not a jobber, Lex, who you can upgrade his class for cheaper than anyone else in the game.
Oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna have that end game power curve. It's gonna happen.
He's one of my best units just because of the character I paired him with, but I know that he's not great. Actually made Chloe, the generic soldier that comes in his party originally, like insanely powerful by giving her some sort of lightning spear. So now she's like, yeah, I stabbed the enemy team and their whole row dies.
Yeah, sergeants turned out like real good.
Yeah, it seems unreasonable.
It is alarming how this game just keeps unfolding with new options and new complexities and new ways to mix and match and cool new battle types, and the battles keep getting bigger with more moving parts and more things to keep track of.
Yeah, like it seems like this whole second continent's like, yeah, the maps are going to be at least twice as big. So it kind of went from skirmishes taking me like 30 minutes to an hour. I'm like, okay. Understandable. This is how you up the ante. I really like the catapult just annihilate stuff.
Oh, catapults are so fun. It's one of those games where every time I'm using a unit, I'm like, oh man, this is my favorite unit. It does this cool thing. And then I use another unit. I'm like, oh man, this is my favorite unit. It does this cool thing. And like it's a game where you've got a lot of fantasy tropes, but every now and then there's actual representation of some genuine historical tactical truisms. Like lining up a bunch of guys on horses is really, really effective. You put 3 cavalry units next to each other, they keep buffing each other 20% attack before they attack, and it stacks.
Oh.
They will just run roughshod over everything that isn't flying.
Wow. That makes sense.
Like, I set the unit up as a joke, gave him a healer, and thought, yeah, I'll just throw him out there when I've got enough victory points to waste. They steamroll.
I really like the arch or the crossbow. Like the animation behind her, like cranking the crossbow to arm it. I'm like, oh.
And I noticed it first when I was killing one. I'm like, oh my god, the amazing, brutal, emotional accuracy of having a housecarl just cut down a crossbowman while they're cranking their windlass. And this game does this thing, especially when you send cavalry units at enemies, where they look up right before you hit them. And sometimes it's very sad.
I think that's all I really have to say about a Unicorn Overlord. God, I wanted to call it Drakengard.
I thought you were going to say Dragon's Dog, and I'm like, wait, I took off my headphones for you to talk about Dragon's Dog?
Yeah, a game I definitely played early.
I've broken the Capcom. Hey, Agro.
Hey.
You got anything you want to say?
I mean, I got another 80 hours of gushing about Unicorn Overlord in me, but I guess I'll save that for Game of the Year.
I mean, at very least, a spoiler cast seems inevitable. It's a Vanillaware game.
It's real messed up that Vanillaware can just come out here like this. Like, yeah, we just released Game of the Year. Who cares?
It's funny because before launch, people were like, I saw that trailer. It looks really concerning. Oh, I don't know about this gameplay. Oh, I don't like ogre battle games. I'm like, guys, no matter what you think your sexual preference is now, this game's going to turn you gay. You will be into what it is serving. How do they not miss? How do they not miss once?
It's unreasonable. Almost killing their company 2 times in a row should not have worked.
I know! Western devs do it and it's bad!
Right?
Vanillaware does it and redefines genres. Western devs do it and then they go, please be excited for the Joker.
Right? Please, he's coming out soon. You're going to download the game again. Please.
Western devs are like, we spent millions more dollars than we should have. Please buy more copies of our game. And Vanillaware is like, we hung ourselves on a tree for 9 days and gained knowledge of the universe.
Holy shit. Well, I guess we'll save whatever the 80 hours Aggro has pent up inside of him for the spoiler cast. Bob, did you have any other games you played?
I also played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I lied last week. I did every activity in the second open world. That's probably the best part of that game.
I wanted to play 7 Rebirth all week, but between the fitness shit and the diet shit and other things, I co-host a lot of Voxandra's birthday streams.
That'll do it.
That's so I was spent. So you and Chris get to talk all about 7 Rebirth. Oh wait, 1 second. Even if not true for Chris, we have to push it for us. Where's the button? Oh my god.
Game code provided by Square Enix.
It's true.
It's true.
We did not buy this.
We did not buy it. We just gave it our time.
Mm-hmm.
And by we, I mean Bob this week. But me, historically. How's that going?
I'm going to say something that might sound crazy. And I don't... This feels like the first Final Fantasy with the proper scope for me to think of it like a Final Fantasy to have come out since 9.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 10's up there, but no, I'm sorry. The only thing that's different is it doesn't have a world map.
Yes, and that is insanely important.
I get it, but it's clearly different from some shit where it's like we didn't have money. It's more like we wanted to do the Midgar shit for the whole game. Yeah, after almost a decade of Square Enix desperately pawing trying to make a good open world game, they finally succeeded by making it not an open world game. It's hard to overstate how much not being continuous helps.
I mean, even this, like, it's continuous enough to have the illusion. It like
it's
you
continuous enough
never
to
go,
have the
you never have
have
a
the
load
illusion.
screen basically.
Yeah, you
Like,
never have a load screen, but going through like the mines to end up on the other side, it's like, oh, the biome is entirely different now.
Mhm.
Like the geography is entirely different. You're now in a coniferous forest instead of like the plains. And I'm only in Junon right now, so I assume it will grow more, like it will change further in each subsequent area. But I was just thinking, like, man, I hate in these continuous open world games where it's like, you're now in the biome change zone where like it goes from normal to snowland in like 10 feet.
Mhm.
Or you had the biome swap hallways in Xenoblade 3 where you'd go from like desert to swamp or like swamp to snow or whatever. And I thought, like, just have a loading gate. People can deal with a little bit of abstraction. It actually helps.
Mhm.
It's okay in Xenoblade 3 because they gave you a plot reason to constantly dive into a cave. And when you came out, it just happened to be a different biome. And I would never notice walking because I fast traveled past that point.
But yeah, I'm entirely there with Bob. It's like, finally they made one of these that has all the shit a Final Fantasy game is supposed to have in it.
Yeah, I really wish that this had to happen first time was like a new thing.
Final Fantasy instead of a remake.
Instead of a remake, because
that's
it's
understandable.
cool to see this like stuff remade. It really is.
Yeah,
but it'd be way cooler to have like a brand new world,
fresh
that
world.
felt new.
Yeah, this bare minimum needs to be the model for Final Fantasy 17. Assuming they don't do what I think they should do and just make a fixed camera angles normal ass Final Fantasy game.
They
Like
should
if they feel they need the scope and breadth, this should be the template.
They should absolutely just let Yoko Taro have a Final Fantasy and have it be fixed camera just to make it scope reduced. What's wrong with Yoko Taro getting a Final Fantasy?
Yoko Taro, but I don't want that.
After 15 and 16, you're like,
I don't want that. We can have that once they make a mainline Final Fantasy. I'm like, good. Now you can be wacky.
I feel like I'm tired of them trying with these new ones to be insanely dire and dour, and like if we do Yoko Taro, that's obviously it again.
Yeah, but there's like when it comes to his shit, there's a tone of understanding in it where there's some dark comedy to it.
That's true.
And that lightens the tone inherently because you get to see how desperate and weird and sad things are in a way that's just objectively funny, and you can't not laugh at it.
I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't want them to try any more gimmick shit. That feels like a gimmick.
I wouldn't say they've been trying a gimmick shit. I think they've just been trying to make big expensive games. That's not a gimmick.
I know, but you can't. But I don't want. I want them to. But Yoko Taro would be a gimmick. Like it feels like going with Yoko Taro before they just make a normal mainline Final Fantasy that I think is good. It feels like they gave up.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah. Anyway, I derailed it enough. Go ahead.
It's kind of stupid how much better this game is than the first remake.
Yeah,
like, it's kind of insane.
It is ludicrous how, like, I feel like the worst parts of the game are what they put in the demo. Like when it becomes super linear, like that opening thing,
like the Nibelheim flashback. I also feel like that. Although it is really funny that they're like, here's the Mako vacuum cleaner.
Yes, the Mako vacuum cleaner is hilarious. No one could say it isn't.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
But it's not just oh, the scope is bigger, it's this open world thing, now you have lots of pretty towns and stuff. It's not just that in terms of being better. It feels better to control in pretty much every single way. Like I went from one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I can feel it very clearly. Combat is more responsive. You have a perfect guard now. Your dodge actually has iframes and isn't just used for positioning. They got rid of the stupid fucking weapon upgrade system that I hated in Remake because you have to go see a 10-second long animation to go into the menu to spend your weapon upgrade points.
Yeah, I'm still not sold on the new upgrade tree they have in this, because a lot of that stuff on there feels like 3% more damage and stuff. And I'm like,
some of it,
maybe they'll get good eventually. But
I like that the characters get free abilities that do elemental damage, so you don't have to focus so much on giving people like having total elemental coverage on materia so you can fight enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Chadley sells you fire and ice materia, thunder and wind materia that give you multiple spells because they slash your slots down to like you're starting a new game. It's not like the end of Remake where you have like 6 slots on both things.
Right.
You're down to like 2 on each, so they have to give you these upgrades.
It is really funny. I got to the point where I got Yuffie on the team. And it's funny to see her still have the insanely big moveset they made for, the intergrade. And she's just one of the characters.
Everybody feels like they have a lot of shit now. Some characters are kind of the same, but it feels like they added
it feels like everybody has
Cloud. They added a bunch to Cloud. Red 13 is playable now, and he has a lot of stuff.
Right.
Barrett feels like the one who changed the least.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't feel like anything new was Barrett, but again, I haven't played that game in years, so not really an authority on it.
I kind of think they made Aerith worse.
I do notice I do not like playing as her at all.
Yeah, I kind of feel like them because they took they gave her like a teleport ability so she can like zone, but I feel like she builds ATB so slow. I don't know if there's something I don't understand with how she works.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those things of like they will introduce a skill that makes these skills make sense later, which isn't a great position to be in.
This is a thing that they finally went back to a thing from Final Fantasy IV, which is when you go into dungeons, we're gonna tell you what your party is. In the open world, it can be whatever. You can use whoever you want, but in these dungeons, we're giving you who you use, and I think that's great. I think more games should have the balls to just do that. Be like, you don't have to worry about, are we gonna split you up? Like whatever, we tell you who you're using, so you will inevitably use everybody.
I am into that.
Game.
That's one of my favorite things that Trials of Cold Steel does.
Every time it's done that, I've been fine with it, except for it feels like you do the first half of the dungeon with one set, and then you switch to the other, and that second part is always the worst than the first part.
I've only done the mines so far, but I felt like they were distinct enough. I think the mine cart pushing was a little much in the second half, though.
Right.
Because they make you do it like 3 times there instead of like once in the first half. They also made like the game's also now like in a cartoon world. Like it's much goofier than Remake was by like a lot. It just feels like they cranked the mental illness dial up on every character.
I mean, a part of that is all the card battling guys are all weirdos.
I love that. I love how every single person you try to play that card game with is just ill.
Yeah, like one lady in the opening in the first town has built herself a cardboard box like wall around her that's sealing off her from the rest of the city.
Yeah, and you just walk through it. And then one is like a girl who will only talk to you through a puppet. And the other's just a guy who cries a lot.
I've met these people playing card games.
This is minor, but it's insanely funny that every character you can play the card game with, there's a special stand right next to where they are where Cloud can put his sword as he sits down to play cards with them.
It's funny because it's not every one of them, but it is a lot of them, and not for you where you expect it to be all of them.
I hooped and hollered whenever I look really closely at background assets, and I'm like, oh, that looks really shitty. They didn't waste too much money making a water jug. That water jug has 8 distinct sides. It's octagonal. The side quests are also a lot fucking better than Remake. In Remake, they all felt pretty... Go fight this monster. We have the most stock set up for it possible.
Yeah,
they're actually pretty good side quests. I think the first ones I didn't like were all the way in Coast to Cell. They sold.
Like there's one this takes place multiple of the open world things. All the open world things kind of form side quests on their own. Like all the ones in a category in a region form their own little narrative. where you meet the fucking bandits from the first game, Beck's badasses, and you have to do like Metal Gear stealth against them in like 4 different places because they got the thing you need to get. And at one point you just drop a giant box on them. And then at the end they're like, we legitimately found this first. You're really just gonna beat the shit out of us and take it, and you can actually pay them for it. Which I think they also look way freakier than Remake. I feel like they like cranked up the Fist of the North Star goon energy on them. That's another thing. They add all kinds of backstory to Final Fantasy VII that's good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I liked about Remake is how much it allowed you to further explore your relationship with lady I've forgotten the name of because I'm terrible with names. Thank you. All of that was fantastic in that game. I really enjoyed that. So it doesn't surprise me. The game with the much larger scope does that even better.
And it's not just characters. Like they go into a lot like, here's what was here before Shinra.
Yeah, they do talk a lot about, I think, the Republic.
Yeah, the Republic of Junon, where it's like Shinra came. This is post-apocalyptic. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is post-apocalyptic parentheses Libertarians 1. Because it's like Shinra, there are no roads in this world because Shinra doesn't need roads. They use helicopters for everything.
I never once thought about that.
And it's like, yeah, Shinra won this war, and everything that isn't a Shinra-controlled city is like post-apocalyptic almost, because there's no more roads, trading is hard, and you find these in the Junon area, like it's like a bombed-out battlefield. Like it's like this is where the final battle of where Shinra took over was. So there's all these destroyed ships and bombed-out encampments, and you read like the intel. It's like Junon had a floating city that Shinra sank. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna go to that in part 3, aren't we?
Right? Yeah, that was my first fucking thought. I'm like, oh,
yeah, because there is the whole submarine thing that they have to replicate eventually.
And
so
it's like, hey, are we gonna have more than 2 places to go or things to do in that submarine?
Yeah, I was like, where did we dock to fight the Emerald Weapon?
You don't dock to fight the Emerald Weapon. He's just floating around down there.
Yeah, he's just
he's just floating
around.
And
then
up
up that river is,
I guess it's a submarine.
Where Vincent forgot to take his medication and yelled at a lady. Ben sent.
The three things underwater are the way to get to that lady, a crashed plane.
That's what I was thinking of.
And the really difficult, the key you have to find that's just floating. It's not even an area. You just touch it and now you have the key. It's under this long underground tunnel and under the continent. Yeah, and you find out so much shit. Like it's really interesting and like enhances the lore a lot. And I'm like, I guess like you don't really you just think of Mako as oil. You know, because that's the obvious allegory.
That's what it is.
But then but they like lean into it a little more, and you think about it, and it's like, no, it really is like, other than the fact it literally kills the planet, like it has no downside. So you do get that sci-fi effect of we can just use planes for fucking everything. We have an infinite fuel source. You know, quote unquote infinite.
Right. Just like real life.
Yeah.
The bosses also feel a lot cooler. And there seems to be a decent amount of them, and they don't stick around long enough to really become annoying. It's just an upgrade in every single way. And man, these open world games sure help a lot when you have music that's good in them.
Yeah, that does help a lot.
I want the Moogles to die. They need to die. All of them need to die. Somebody make the Scrimblow Basher VR game and port these models into them. They gave them little rat teeth. It's horrifying. I hate them.
Well, just like 15 got its fishing mini game, I'm excited to announce Square Enix told me exclusively that they are making a Moogle Destroyer VR game.
This game has so many fucking mini games. Like it has like little ones like, oh, you found the shrine to the summon for this area, so do like a do like a tiny little mini game. Oh, you found this life spring that gives you more data on the map. Do this tiny little mini game. But then there's the card game. There's a remix of the Fort Condor game from the Yuffie DLC. Like it's significantly different, and also unbelievably insane in how it introduces itself. You teleport into a Yu-Gi-Oh episode. Doing the Moogles every time you unlock the Mog House in a region, which is a store that lets you buy stuff with the Moogle medals in this one.
Which you probably won't want to do because you've seen the Moogles.
Yeah, but you have to play a deranged little mini game where Cloud like does dodge rolls through bombs and picks them up and takes them back to daycare. You have to do a stealth mini game in each region to unlock the Chocobo in that region. And then the second one, the first one's just a tutorial, but the second one I was like, okay, you played Metal Gear because this is structured exactly like a Metal Gear room. Complete where I think you probably did it with Legos like Kojima did Metal Gear Solid 1 with Legos. And it's like in the first two areas you there's like 6 or 7 different mini games.
Yeah, they pile them on more and more as you play, it seems like. Like doing Junon, there's a ton. Doing Del Sol, there's a ton. It's crazy how many there are.
So then, if 7 Rebirth doesn't support the PS5 Pro when it comes out, I could be upset because clearly the scope is nuts.
Yeah.
They can afford to support that Pro hardware that comes out 6 years later.
The scope is a lot bigger, but at the same time, like they dole it out to you in these region-sized chunks that don't feel huge and overwhelming at all. Like
yeah, but it's still
you can
a
run
lot
across.
Of,
yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
A lot of content, a lot of
like,
unique moments.
They've made an insane amount of things for this,
which is dope.
Yeah,
yeah. I was gonna say, and before the overreactionary, thin-skinned Square Enix fans in chat have a meltdown, brace yourselves. I heard that at launch this didn't sell as well in Japan, which I assume has a lot to do with its PS5 exclusive.
Yeah,
right.
that's all.
Right.
Yeah, it's sold.
Right, I think the sales numbers new ones came out today or something, and it was doing well in other places. But
yeah,
I don't know.
And
but
also,
Japan's always hard to like
guess.
Yeah, because it's PS5 and there's not that many PS5s in Japan, and
right.
And also, they push digital sales on this so insanely hard compared to other games that you almost wonder, like, because those never include digital sales. Or a lot of those sales, I'll buy the thing that gives me the other one for free.
Yeah, that was a kind of an insane deal to be like both games for the same price as just the new game.
But like,
that was insanely generous. Yeah,
Square Enix is going to be hurting in Japan until they start shipping on the Switch too.
Oh yeah, like and honestly, on a long enough timeline, this probably will.
Yeah,
because what I assume is their plan. Ignoring the NX side of them, which is absolutely preparing Dragon Quest 12 and 3 HD 2D.
Yeah.
And the other side of them that Visions of Mana came to Xbox.
Yeah,
do you really think it's not coming to the Switch too?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't see a single game that's announced from that. It's not coming to the Switch too.
Putting those obvious things aside, it feels like to me making 7 Remake for the Switch 2 and then later 7 Rebirth for the Switch 2 is obvious. That's a lot of money.
Right. Like
there's no way it's not going to happen.
Like we have those leaks about Remake 1 happening, so of course Rebirth would also be there.
Like the leaks were already, we showed
Remake running,
And like it might be crunchy, but I don't see, there doesn't seem to be anything in this game that I can see so far that I've pointed at and go, a thing as powerful as the PS4 Pro can't do a version of this.
Right. I mean, you're talking about like, okay, so maybe it looks like performance mode with lower end textures and it runs at 30. A lot of people, Switch fans, won't care.
Right. You probably won't, the fast travel won't work as well, but they won't care. They won't get the game.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess if anything, the fast travel may not be as affected because the Switch 2 undoubtedly has dedicated decompression hardware. We'll just have to see how that pans out. Switch 2 is really exciting.
Yeah, Nintendo likes underpowered hardware, compared. But they don't skimp on shit like, well, people don't like how long it takes to load. That's a problem they will fix. That's not a...
Yeah, that seems like an obvious thing they should fix. And I think they're aware. Especially since a lot of games that wanted to stream things in would run bad because the CPU in the Switch is weak, and you had to decompress all that stuff on the CPU before. But yeah, so obviously the sales on this long term will probably be fine, especially in Japan, especially when they get to Switch 2. But I thought that was fascinating because before I had heard that, the thought hadn't even occurred to me that it would sell worse than Remake in Japan.
It's very funny how much more obvious they make the Shinra is America allegory in this one, where it's like, here's a guy who worked for Shinra and is a veteran and doesn't have health care. I'm like, oh. Everywhere Shinra conquers, they just pave over and make it a really artificial, tacky, touristy version of what it originally was for them to exploit. Like, oh, that's cool.
Awkward collar pull.
I also like, even if you only get 3 characters to actively control, the other characters hover around and pretend to do things in overworld fights. So you get the image of, oh, they're still here. Red 13 riding a chocobo is unbelievably hilarious looking. I'm so glad they don't have him just, he's riding it. Yeah, he has his little paws up on holding the reins.
In my brain, you know, if it wore pants, would it wear them like this or this? In my brain, Red 13 riding a chocobo is mentally the equivalent of if pants wore pants. How would they wear them? It's so bizarre looking.
Yeah, it is very strange. They do a lot of weird stuff with Red 13.
I expect to see the lad driving a car, wearing a suit.
Don't worry about it. Things may or may not happen.
Waiting tables.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like, it hits. It doesn't overload you with open world shit. The open world shit is pretty rewarding because it gives you the Chadley currency that lets you buy enhanced materia. None of the open world shit takes a huge amount of time to do. Like, they devoted those resources to, like, there's one like quest line in each region for about a proto relic that has more narrative attached to it. And then you have normal side quests in that same region. And it feels like they made the open world stuff a little more low key so that they could focus on side quests and stuff. And that was a really smart decision. And again, like Bob said, it's like, finally, they landed it.
Yeah, it's important to have a bunch of different cities you see and can actually go to and just be able to look out over an expanse of an area and be like, oh, it'll be fun to explore this. Like, that's an important thing that Final Fantasy just lacked for so long.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like 15 has nothing in it. Like, every place is a gas station.
Yeah, exactly. They made a grassy knoll with some gas stations and like one cool landmark.
Yeah, so then, like, as we were saying, like, if they can pull this off again, but with a fresh Final Fantasy, that will be the watershed moment. That will be the return of the king. That will be amazing, because if I could just get the levels of hype I had going into Final Fantasy 13, but with this proper scope and a full game made and all these, if I could just get that, we'd be fucking golden. That would lock in Game of the Year, most likely.
Like playing 16 last year, it's like, why did you release this?
I feel like in
it just hurts the
retrospect,
brand more than anything.
Right. In retrospect, it's more bizarre.
It is bizarre to compare them. Like, it's really fucking strange.
Like, if you saw this going on the other side of the company, you should have just been like, oh, never mind, we're not ready.
So it would have been an even funnier future where Forspoken was called Final Fantasy name.
I'm going to be real. Like, Luminous Productions should have been looking at this and been like, what the fuck are we doing with this Forspoken shit? What the fuck? Why are we even making this?
they're like, it's okay because we're really tapping into the zeitgeist and soul of the American gamer. And all the people who wrote the first draft are just like, what the fuck is this? We didn't write this.
Right?
Like it's because you get to that Junon area and it's so mountainous, and you get the chocobo that can go up the mountains, and like it's so well designed as an area because you have to take these specific routes to get places, but it doesn't feel annoying.
Also, it's kind of crazy that they've gotten better at using Unreal than their own engines.
Oh my God, that's right. This is Unreal.
Yeah, this is Unreal 4. It's not even 5. Like, it runs better than 16 and looks better.
Yeah, it does.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I mean, Harvestella was also Unreal Engine and looked great in Ren.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is Unreal.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 is Unreal.
The Saya Square has been using it and just getting better at it.
And the hardware's now here where it's like, oh yeah, we can lock 60.
Right?
Because Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't really lock 60.
No, it didn't.
Even when you're playing on a PS4 Pro and setting to 1080p, it still couldn't quite.
Even in performance mode, like you can see the temporal A, it looks a little soft, but it still looks really fucking good. Like this is one of the prettiest games I think maybe ever.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of that is like art design and stuff.
But yeah, you can see that they are not skimping with like how much high quality textures and ridiculous amount of geometry either. Like that's. Do you see Destroyed Boats and all sorts of stuff that has a lot of stuff in it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just solely art design. Even like I feel like Grand Blue gets to ride more on like this is the most incredible looking game because the art design is 10.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
I turned it over to quality mode for like 1 second and spun the camera. Went no.
Yeah.
I don't even think I think a lot of developers have forgotten how to make a 30 frames per second game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been playing some 7th gen games recently. You know, I played those Darksiders games. I played Shadows of the Damned, which I don't think has FPS. It doesn't have any bonus features on Xbox. And I'm like, this isn't making me ill despite being 30. Did everybody just forget the right motion blur camera speed ratio to make these 30 frames per second work? Like that feels like what it is.
Brace yourself, because I have a really good candidate for why it looks and maybe feels a little worse.
I wonder what that is, Dan.
Temporal AA is a lot worse at guessing pixels when it has longer spans of time to guess about.
Yeah, no, even playing something like not Turning Point, Legendary, and
we played
50
fucking
Cent.
Legendary. It was 50 Cent was 60.
Oh yeah, 50 Cent
because
was
the
unlocked,
Series X
right.
like went.
Yes,
but yeah, Legendary is ass frames per second, but because it doesn't have an insane motion blur, it just felt okay.
Yeah, no,
it didn't feel unplayably bad.
Right? It doesn't. The whole screen doesn't become garbage. Literal.
Which the TVs were so bad back then with the additional input latency of that and terrible visual representation. It covered that.
It did.
It felt like shit and looked like shit.
I need to go back to Final Fantasy Type 0 HD and be like, is the motion blur on this worse than modern 30 FPS games? Because I spun the camera in quality mode in that game and I felt like I had a head injury.
Yeah, no,
like it was like holy fucking shit. Yeah, and it was crisper, but not that much crisper.
Type 0 HD is unreal levels of you should not have done this when it comes to motion blur. I like motion blur in games. What they did is uncalled for.
Yeah. No, it is to the point where it was like, no, we should find some way to play this PSP version instead of this, but that doesn't have a translation even.
Yeah. And we can't put a video of it on YouTube, probably even still.
God, yeah, those weird draconian
Square Enix claims from the PSP era. Sure wish I could upload the ending of the 3rd birthday stream.
Right?
Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about with 7 Rebirth?
I didn't.
I figure we're probably going to talk about this again next week.
Probably. You'll probably actually play it next week.
I'll probably get a lot more.
Then again, maybe I'll just eat all of Unicorn Overlord in 6 days.
I've been trying to split my time between the boasts because there's some days I feel like one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. You have Final Fantasy VII digitally, so you can do that. I have physically, so I'm like, nope, that disc is not coming out until I've beaten it.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know, Bob. I am the guy who's like, if I could just eat strawberry overnight oats every morning for breakfast, tuna salad with severs. I'm basically David Lynch for food.
Right. Yeah.
Because I told you about that.
You could probably do it. I just have that thing of like, I will boot one up and play literally a mission and then be like, okay, either switch off to the other or not. And it's a 50-50 chance.
He just keeps going back and forth, and eventually Bob gets confused, and he's like, this place is called Drakengard, right? I didn't invent that. And the man in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth goes, sir?
Gungaga.
Gungaga.
I do have one other thing to say about it. Remember when I was like, why do they do this weird thing where you play the Nibelheim thing and it lets you skip it in the main game? Why didn't they just open it at the start of the game? There's a very fucking good reason they didn't give you the opening of this game as the demo.
Yeah, no.
I was like, what we're doing this?
Yeah, which is kind of what I expected when they phrased it exactly like that. I think I even said that on the podcast when they announced it. Like, yeah, they probably have something weird first and then.
Yep, they sure do.
These are very, very teeny minor spoilers. But I do want to say it because I think it's very fucking funny. There's just this little offhanded.
I love any opportunity to play this song. You know how I am. Anyways.
There's just this very little moment where somebody asks Aerith, like, what's going to happen because you know the future? And she goes, I don't anymore. The ghosts took it from me. And I laughed.
That's also what Phil Spencer will say when Xbox collapses.
I will note that so far, no ghosts. I thought they were going to show up at one point, but then it was not the ghosts.
That was, in fact, a man in a cotton tablecloth. He was not a ghost.
He's trying to spook you.
That was Old Man Jenkins.
But yeah, what a cool game. I'm so happy with it. I was a little bit worried. A little bit. And then I was like, wow, it's that same thing with Tears of the Kingdom where it's like, I didn't expect this much. They really over-delivered.
I think that demo was bad in a lot of ways because even the open world part they gave you was like a super truncated part of the open world that was only the worst part to explore with almost nothing to do. Like, they just shouldn't have made it.
Yeah. Oh, they should have made the Nibelheim mountains look more like hell. Like they look like you're in hell in the original game. Like they have these horrific, unnatural spikes all over them. And while they are spiky in Rebirth, they don't look like you got sent to hell. But there, I think that's everything I have to say at the current moment.
Did you play anything else, Bob?
No, that's everything I played.
Yeah, Gro, did you play anything other than Unicorn Overlord?
Other than that, in the Sandland demo, do you remember last year PlayStation Blog had a post about a bunch of upcoming VR titles?
Oh, one sec.
Game code provided by Square Enix.
I feel like we talked about it long enough where I was supposed to push that button twice as per our agreement.
Right.
Anyways, PlayStation Blog, upcoming VR titles.
Do you remember a game called Tin Hearts? It was like 3D lemmings with little toy soldiers going around. Yes. That, which I thought they were making like a separate VR game. It's just a free update for a VR mode, which is cool because I bought that game like last year. So I just got to go dig it out. It's neat. Like I said, it's basically lemmings. You've got little toy soldiers coming out of a box and you've got to arrange stuff in their way to bump them to the door they need to go in. And you do stuff like they'll fall off a table and hit a drum, and you can tilt that drum to jump them to a different spot. And there's a lot of like triangular blocks with cutouts in them that only go on certain posts, so you've got to figure out which posts they go on and turn them in the right way. And then you've got little red triangle blocks that are sometimes sometimes just straight up hidden in a small wooden box on one corner of the room. Fuck that level. But it is really neat that like it lets you just walk around this like 3D toy maker's shop and like pick stuff up and move it around, and you know you can freeze time and rewind time and get to mess with stuff, and like a lot of it's not so much like solve the puzzle and more of it figure out where all the shit you need is and just put it in order, and then they're past that part, run back to the first part of the puzzle and pull all the shit apart and put it on the second part of the puzzle. One thing I will say, this is the first time I've played a game in VR and then gone back and played it on a flat screen. And that almost made me sick. It's like when you're watching a show or a movie and one character's looking through another character's eyes, but it's sort of pulled out and fish-eyed. That's what it felt like sitting on my couch.
I was going to ask, is it the same exact game, or is it like, does that mode actually play differently from the main game?
Yeah, it's the same game. Like it plays differently in so much as you're in VR. It's actually, from what I played of the flat screen version, playing it in VR is just so much better.
Bob, let me explain. It's kind of like, you ever have a nightmare where you're watching from a third person perspective someone kill you? That's what it's like when you come out of VR and you go, that was me. What's going to happen to me? That's okay. Yeah. That's...
The game is doing this thing where it's slowly telling a story about this toy maker and his daughter who has a head that's too big.
Is that integral to the plot? Or
I mean, if my luck with puzzle games is going to stay the same, she's going to be dead by the end of this. Like every now and then you'll be in a room and halfway through the puzzle they'll show up as like ghostly memories and act out a thing, and you're like, oh, that's really cool. But every time you solve a puzzle, you like walk to the other end of the room and open the door, and like white light happens, and then you find yourself in the next room. And I've been through like more than 10 similar looking rooms in what is supposed to, I guess, be an attic workshop, but so far has covered more square footage than like a neighborhood market Walmart. I don't know if this is like diegetic, like this guy has some enormous house complex with a series of locked off attic workshops that all have the same shit in them, or it's supposed to be some kind of dreamscape thing,
right? You step outside and it's the size of the mansion from The Seventh Guest, and you're like, okay, that explains anything.
But it's just all these attics built right on the ground. Just on the ground level, a bunch of attics next to each other.
That's just irresponsible at some point. That's not...
Like I've had this nightmare where I just keep going through the same room but different over and over every time I try to open the door.
Yeah, and if you played it on the flat screen, you would be in third person watching you go through that room over and over.
So yeah, that's been a neat thing that I was looking forward to that I finally got a chance to play.
Cool. Now, it seems in bad taste to ask, but have you played Legendary Tales since you last talked about it?
No, because this came out, so I've been spending my VR time on that. Every time I can see that timer going down, where when I think about Legendary Tales, I'm less mad about how I left that last session with a wrong button press kicking me out of a dungeon. I'm like, yeah, I'm about ready to forgive and to move on.
Did you ever pick up Helldivers?
Yes, I have messed around with Helldivers a little bit. I have yet to actually play that game with another human.
We should do that at some point.
We definitely should.
Helldivers.
Heck, the servers don't even work now.
Yeah. They might.
Maybe. I have no proof one way or the other.
That game is like game number 1 on the list of, if there's not a PS5 Pro version of this game, I will be livid.
They have to. They published it. They have to.
And they sold like 10 million
copies. It sold
copies.
insanely well. I'm just waiting for a sale at this point. So I'm like, I waited long enough. Now I'm close enough where they're going to put it on sale, and I'll feel like an idiot if I do buy it.
You think that, but this is the new Minecraft, and it stays at this price forever and starts going up.
I did see a statement from one of the studio heads. It was like, yeah, we're not turning friendly fire off. That shit's hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's the game.
Right.
The game is I go, don't worry, guys, I've got us. And I call down my stratagem turret, and it goes, the bugs are that way on the other side of Dan's teammates. And then it clears a path to those bugs by gunning down my teammates.
Yeah, if I finally get to this and they've turned auto or friendly fire off, I'll have felt wrong.
You call up Sony, hey, I need to return this.
I have seen so much discourse about like the meta and optimal play and builds, and I'm like, you're playing this game wrong.
I agree, yeah. Yeah, they are playing this game where they are trying to be like they envision themselves as like world champion tier chess players preparing their patent-like war.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be playing it like it's Harold and Kumar Go to Helldivers. Way less planning, a lot more doing at the toss of a coin.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful game.
It does make me miss Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah. I actually, what was it? Gamma Chris over on twitch.tv/Gamma Chris was doing Wizard Week for his streams, and he did Magicka because he guest hosted with another person. And this is the first time I'd seen Magicka, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely fucking made by the Helldivers 2 people, where it's just like, use your magic to fight these enemies together or blow each other up on accident.
Didn't add it together. They started there.
Yeah.
Because I played Magicka.
Yeah.
That game was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it seemed really tight.
That game was a lot cooler than Helldivers 1.
Yeah, I have to agree there. Magicka seemed I was much more interested in Magicka than I was Helldivers 1. And I got closer to play Helldivers 1. Like, I played it for a level or so and went, eh. Meanwhile, Magicka, I'm just watching and I'm like, that seems hilarious and fun as shit. Yeah, we need to play some Helldivers too. Did you play anything else?
I did not.
Hey, Chris, did you play anything other than 7 Rebirth? I just don't know.
Yes, I played 3 things.
Oh.
Firstly, I played some Pizza Tower since it got updated and you can play as the Noise now.
Oh, no.
He actually does control differently. He can't run up walls. He has a skateboard, so he kind of bounces up walls.
What's up?
My immediately thought was different, parentheses, racist.
Yeah. I mean, just look at him. He has like a Tasmanian tiger mode he can go into. If you like land right and hold down, he does like a spin. And can go through low gaps.
Okay.
He also has a lot of like a lot of goofy shit where instead of doing like a belly flop that breaks super blocks after enough distance like Peppino, you have to do like his super pogo slam move to break them, because just holding down just turns him into the tornado.
Right, yeah.
He's also a lot different during bosses, because instead of like grabbing and throwing, he just throws a bomb. So you have distance, but it also makes hitting enemies a little annoying at some points.
Yeah. Do the bombs blow up on contact, at least?
They blow up on contact.
Okay, that's something. Thank you.
And if you miss, they sit there for a second and blow up, I think. Otherwise, like, he controls differently, but it's the same game.
Yeah, it's like, can you play all the levels or like certain levels?
Yeah, you can play the whole level. You can play everything.
Crazy.
You fight a recolor of him as the boss, where he would be.
What happens when you switch to Brick and the other guy?
You just switch to him.
Okay. Sure.
Be right back.
But I am going to... I will spoil one tiny thing, so cover your ears if you don't want to hear spoilers for the Noise route of Pizza Tower. So the version of the Noise you fight is called the Doise with a D, and he's blue. You cannot refight him. If you go back into the boss arena after you beat him, he's dead on the floor and you win instantly.
Oh my god. That's really funny.
But other than that, I played Silent Hill 1.
Okay.
I've never played a Silent Hill game before. I think Silent Hill 1 is very neat. I think it has a great atmosphere, and the music is really perfect at making you shit your pants constantly. It's not music you would listen to ever. But it is music that's like, oh god, what's next? What's coming up next? Which is funny because that game really doesn't have really any scary enemies at all.
That's weird.
Like, there's not that many enemies in it because it's a fucking PS1 game, a full 3D PS1 game. There wasn't that many of those. So it is kind of limited in one, and it has a fairly large area of game. So there's not that many enemies, and none of them really are dangerous enough that you see one and go, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. It also kind of barely has a story.
That's not too surprising.
It has more like the idea of a story. It's like here's these characters, and you kind of get what. There is a story, but it doesn't this is before they were like the town curses you. You did something fucked up. That wasn't there yet. You get a hammer at one point. You get a sledgehammer with a spike on the end that is the most powerful weapon in the game, but it's a melee weapon. But I figure I rocked that thing for most of the final chunk of the game because there's a lot of enemies you just don't have to shoot.
So was it does it break or anything?
No, it doesn't break.
Okay.
It's the way melee works in Silent Hill 1 is you hit a button to enter ready stance. And with most weapons, you can shimmy back and forth, left and right and forward and backwards with the weapon. You can't do that with the hammer. You are immobile when you are in the ready stance with the hammer.
I think that's what the sword you get in 2 is like. I might be wrong.
But the upside is the fucking hammer eviscerates things. So I figure out how to back up exactly enough to avoid the attacks of these nurse enemies, and then I just cave their head in. And it's really fun.
Oh, they already had the nurse enemies in 1, huh?
They're not like the Silent Hill 2 nurses. They're these are nurses that were taken over by the evil parasite.
Okay.
The bosses in Silent Hill 1 are all kind of jokes. You kind of rinse them really fast, just dumping ammo into them. The only one that has anything going on is the first one. Because you got to get him to open his mouth first, and then you pump lead down his throat. Bizarrely, the first quote unquote dungeon is also really the longest one.
That is
which
weird.
Feels a little bit strange. I wasn't prepared for how much Alan Wake 2 just took shit from Silent Hill. Because in Silent Hill 1, at least, you're walking around the doomed town and you have to go to the other world. That's the Rust Hell dimension.
Okay, yeah.
And it reminded me a lot of Alan Wake, where you have to go to the Shadow World.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's a very cool game. I'm excited to play Silent Hill 2 later, not this week, but later. Because I have to get the PC version working, and I have to watch Blue Velvet first.
Right.
Which means Bob and I have to watch Blue Velvet first.
Is that first dungeon a hotel or an apartment building with a ton of doors?
No.
It is a school.
Okay.
Yeah, so... in fact, the school from Kindergarten Cop, in case you've never seen that.
Right. No, I've seen Kindergarten Cop.
That's another... not every door is locked in this game. In fact, they kind of didn't make any rooms you can't go in.
Oh, that's very different.
What a crazy notion.
Because you find a map at relatively early in every area that just shows you all the rooms, and there's there will be locked doors when you go to the other world. Some rooms will lock and others will unlock.
Okay.
But it does make it obvious if you can never go into a room. Like you'll investigate and say the lock is jammed, you can't get it open, and that means you'll never go in that room.
Cool. Helpful.
There's something to this exact era of games fidelity with like not fidelity, but like this is the perfect merging of an actual place with a video game level. Like they somehow thread the needle perfectly that I wish we could kind of get back to in some ways. Because I feel like a lot of areas in games are like, well, it needs to be more realistic. It should have like a more realistic scale. It doesn't make sense for it to be structured like symmetrically. I'm like, no, it's fine. Make it more like a video game level so it's easier to mentally map.
No.
Because the last level doesn't even have a map, and I wasn't lost at all. Because it was so well designed.
What a concept.
Yeah, weird.
This is not Quest 64.
I got the best ending. I also ran up on something where it's like, oh, this is just a thing from Twin Peaks. Which obviously they all are, but like it's a thing I know is from Twin Peaks because it's also in Deadly Premonition.
Yeah, I was going to say the fucking opening of Silent Hill 1, if I'm not mistaken, is in a fucking diner. Like immediately frame one.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of
there's
that.
a little bit before that, but yes,
Yeah.
you do wake up in a diner.
Right.
So yeah, like I don't know if I'll ever play that game again. Like I don't really feel the urge to like get the other endings. Cause Silent Hill 1 does not do did you heal a bunch? Did you deal damage a bunch? Were you aggressive? Did you talk to this person?
Did you look at the knife?
Yeah, it doesn't do any of that shit. So, but it was neat. It was neat to have that gap in my knowledge filled. It's going to be really funny when I eventually watch Twin Peaks and have such bizarrely high knowledge of it from the 75 different games I played that just rip off Twin Peaks.
Yeah, we were doing a lot of like, oh shit. When we were watching it.
Stop acting like you've watched Twin Peaks just because you've played a game. Get real.
You think you watched Twin Peaks because you played Deadly Premonition? Get real. That's fucking sad.
What an immaculate voice he has.
Yeah.
It was really good. I was watching Audrey's actor from Aubrey. I think it's Audrey.
I think Audrey's right. Yeah.
Yeah, from Twin Peaks doing a behind the scenes like thing back when they were filming the first 2 seasons. And she's like, yeah, working with David Lynch is pretty interesting because, you know, as a filmmaker, he has all these ideas, but he's a very Midwest guy. And then I'll finish a take and I'll be like, was that good? And he'll be like, that was okie dokie. And she even impersonates his voice when she says this. And I have to be like, so that's good? Also, I will never, like, the number one touchstone for David Lynch's soul in my heart is now the fucking milkshake story. Just like, I would go there at 2:30 every day because that would be the perfect time to get perfectly thick milkshakes. It was in between rushes. I did this regularly for years, and then I pulled the bag out of the dumpster and I didn't know what the ingredients were, so I thought I probably have had enough and stopped. Like, what the fuck is this story?
That's an unbelievably relatable story.
It is!
And the other thing I played was Shadows of the Damned. John Riccatello should go to hell.
Fact.
This game, what seemingly happened from what I have been able to put together from all these different little scraps and interviews I went searching, is that Suda and Shinji Mikami wanted to make a game based on Kafka's The Castle. John Riccatello fucked them over and over and over until they basically had no time to make this game and had to make like Resident Evil 4 God Hand. Like, the game that it reminds me of the most is God Hand because the levels are boxy in a similar way. There's like floating arcadey fruit you have to pick up to progress
Yeah.
in a similar way.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. And it seems like that there's it's very obvious that Suda went, this artless motherfucker. We're making a game that is all dick jokes. Every single thing in this game is a dick joke. The main villain looks like a giant penis. Your gun's name is Johnson, and it turns into a gun called the Boner, which is upgraded to the Hot Boner. And then during a special turret sequence level, it becomes the Big Boner that you use to blow away giants while yelling, "Taste my big boner."
I forgot.
Almost every single line is some sort of dick joke.
John Riccatello is like, I really like that part in No More Heroes where he jacks the weapon.
Yes, that literally is what it feels like. It's like, you need to get, where's the jacking off? I thought you were the jacking off guy.
I don't doubt that John probably said that at some point. I thought you were the jacking off guy. Did we hire the wrong guy to jack off?
It is really funny how he made, Suda made, this stereotype of the 7th gen protagonist. And I think there is some, I don't know if commentary is the right word, but some interesting things in the game's story still where it's like, oh, you achieve nothing. Nothing. It's almost like Suda went, these motherfuckers just want the stupid meathead hero man saving the girl forever. So here, I concocted a situation where that infinitely loops. There's really funny stuff because it's fucking Steve Bloom doing a Hispanic accent.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm Garcia Hotspur. I'm so cool. If my girlfriend pursues me, I die instantly. Because there's these parts where she shows up and chases you, and it's framed like a fucking horror movie monster. But if she catches you, all she does is hug and kiss you, but then you drop dead. Also, he can barely read because there are these books that explain the backstory of the bosses, and the gun, who is like a dapper, he's real gay.
Uh-huh.
He's clearly doing a kind of a foppish British voice.
Right.
He reads real well. Garcia reads like a second grader. I'm actually really impressed by the voice direction, nailing he pauses and is hesitant about big, it does all but have his finger come up and be under the lines as he reads them.
I'm trying to think, what game was I talking about recently where the director's like, yeah, it drives me insane in video games when the main character just says stuff out loud that you would never say to yourself. It's so unrealistic. I would much rather do narration. Oh, it was fucking Alan Wake. It was fucking Alan Wake too. It was fucking
Sam Lake.
Sam Lake. Where he's just it drives me insane in modern games. You know, in movies when they say don't narrate, don't tell show. Well, the thing that drives me insane in modern games is how they'll have a character just say something out loud like, "Oh, this door looks jammed," in a way you would never ever say.
Yeah, just put a slight filter on it and make him think.
Right, because in Alan Wake 2, characters think things to themselves a lot, which is a very natural thing.
They make sure they do the really whispery voice like they're Chuck Norris in The Force of One, I think is it was.
Yeah,
called.
I think that was the one that only Sakura can train ninja. A thing you can only barely understand. Oh, wait, that's the Octagon, isn't it?
Yeah, the Octagon.
Yeah, the Octagon. That was your Chuck Norris minute.
Shadows of the Damned is good. Play it when that remaster comes out this year. There's not really much you can fix without remaking the game and adding in all the shit that was obviously removed from it. But they could fix the reticle because you have a laser sight on all your guns.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrong.
Oh.
I can't explain how exactly it's wrong, but it's wrong.
That sounds like an Uncharted 2 to Uncharted 3 level of esoteric problem.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of Uncharted 3 a lot. Where it's that exact thing where it's like, fuck you, that should have hit.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck do you mean that just went past you? And in this, it's even more egregious because at least in Uncharted 3, it's like a scope. And this, it's a fucking laser sight. It's like the laser was on you. Why did this miss? And it's like, well, the trajectory is slightly different.
It's a bad sight.
Yeah, like there's not much to say about it. It's like really basic shooter combat. You know, it feels good. It's just ripping off RE4. Like it feels almost identical to RE4, except you can move while shooting, so everything's really fucking useless against you.
Jesus. Am I remembering right? Does at some point do you get a torch you get to go around with?
You carry that all the time, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say that's a pretty integral part of the game.
That's just what you have when you're just walking around not shooting guys.
Okay.
It's a cool look.
It is.
You can upgrade it. There's literally no point to, because why would you ever be hitting anything with the torch? You have guns. But yeah, like it's so. I've noted, and I want to know what Dan and Bob think about it as people who have played the most 7th gen games. Obviously, Aggro can also chime in if he has thoughts.
Aggro didn't even fucking know Legendary existed. He barely.
You two made that game up. I don't know how you did it, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Japanese 7th gen games spread the money out so everything feels the same level of unfinished. Western 7th gen games pile all the money in the first half, so the second half falls to complete shit.
That does happen a lot more with Western developed games in my experience. However, I feel like there's also a part of Japanese developed games where like you'll hit a segment and it just won't be there. It'll be like one segment and it'll be like, we didn't make that. It's clear that was also a budget thing.
Mm-hmm.
But with Western games, it's like, oh man, are you ready for this? Oh God, you're here. We don't have anything.
Because I was just thinking, I thought like this. I thought of Final Fantasy 13. There was some other one that I can't remember at this time where it's like, these are obviously unfinished, but they're the same level of not finished the entire way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I immediately saw Mind Jack where it's like, yeah, no, that whole game is that exact, like, it's not done.
Yeah. But it has about the same amount of cutscenes per minute throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, there's no point in it where it's just like, nah. Now you will teleport.
Now you will go through 5 levels with no cutscenes, and you will teleport to the final boss battle.
Yeah, the closest Shadows of the Damned gets is that it throws some really shitty 2D shooter segments at you in the back half. But only 3, and it does have more levels to compensate for that, so it doesn't feel like they were replacing real levels. But yeah, play Shadows of the Damned when it comes out. It's a fun game. It's unbelievably crude. So if you don't like crude things, like imagine Evil Dead like ramped up the gore and crudeness even more. It's like that. It's fun, but it's not for everybody.
That game had one of the most like shocking that they played the ad on GameStop TV constantly things in it. Because you've seen the cutscene where his girlfriend's head comes off and she like pulls it up and puts it on her neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just played on loop in GameStop. It was like,
man, the aughts were
right?
Well, this wasn't the aughts, it was 2011, but the early 10s was a different time. we still had 9/11 brain damage as a culture. That didn't go away until like 2019. COVID kind of cured it, as it gave us a whole new kind of mental illness.
That is fucking true.
But that is everything I played.
Well, this is when we finally reveal it to our own fan base. Fun fact, if you were in random streams I've been in over the last 2 days, you would have already known. But we're streaming Sunday instead of Friday this week because we're doing the Flop Swap Alone in the Dark special, where you get the new Alone in the Dark, which came out Wednesday, the 2008 game called Alone in the Dark, and if we're bold enough, the original Alone in the Dark, and you get to choose which nightmare we're trapped in at any given moment.
I've only seen one review for the newest one. It got a 5.
Yeah, GameSpot gave that game a 4. Yeah, it's seemingly real bad.
So excited.
I'm so excited. I just Can't hide it.
And then the 360 one, that game is hilarious. It's convinced it's an episode of CSI. Between every couple of cutscenes, it'll be like, on the next episode of Alone in the Dark.
Wasn't that the one where it's like, we let you just skip chunks of the game if you want?
Probably. It's the entire thing structured like a TV show. So I could see them having an unhinged mechanic of like, yeah, you might miss an episode.
So anyway, that's Sunday. It's going to be very exciting. Please stop by. We have out-of-town people visiting Friday, so that's why we're not doing it Friday.
And on Saturday, I'm streaming Killer is Dead. And then after that, we'll go to the Silent Hills. Because I got to watch Blue Velvet.
Right.
Killer's Dead has a really good vibe to it.
Yeah, I wish I finished that game.
Killer is Dead is really cool and has a really cool ending also, like a really cool climax.
Are you playing the PC version?
No, I am playing the backwards Xbox back and pad version.
Okay.
It's going to be cool. You're not going to know what's going on because I have multiple people who are like, I platinumed that game. If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you what the story is.
Yeah, it's kind of like Killer 7 in that sense of just what the fuck went on here?
Yeah, things happen in this. It's unclear like how they affect each other.
It's like the midpoint between Killer 7 and No More Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 100%. Hey, Dan, what happened in Killer 7? I feel my blood rushing through my body. Yes, this is it. The calling.
And if anyone's considering playing this game on PC, you can unlock the frame rate, but that breaks the game.
Yeah.
So
that's why I asked.
Don't do it.
Anyway. Lord.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck is Pablo. Holy fuck. Is a motherfucking Pablo. Okay, Firefox, we gotta talk. You need to have a part of the window I can grab when I have this many tabs open.
No. You get 2 centimeters.
I wish I had 2 centimeters. I currently have 0 millimeters. Oh, there we go. That's right. Oh, fuck. It's the Podlords. Podlords like BN12. And also Illibra. I'm not going to sing the whole thing. And Red Blaze 27. Suzu Shiro. Rado. 101 shades of celebrating my birthday today. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Oh, you get those rewards.
Blow out your candles. They open their eyes. The cake is gone. Oh. WTF, Spider-Man. Mr. I like spam. Thank you, Elden Ring DLC, for pushing up Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance up a week.
Oh, is that what's launching then? Oh my god.
Oh,
yeah.
that's really funny.
Yeah, no, that makes
Smart.
sense.
DFW 3K. That's a cool bandit camp you got. Be a real shame if somebody kidded every griffin in the Northern Hemisphere. I feel like there's one more word down there, is it?
Kited. I feel like it was kited.
In the Northern Hemisphere here, I don't know where. Somehow here ended up in the document I downloaded, but you can see there's probably not enough.
Right.
Anyway. Shiny Mew. Kristen. Simple 1500 series volume 69. The Juice of Frost. So much value. Official Nipton lottery magic card.
What a weird crossover.
Huh.
Cooper
Fallout.
Tank. Oh, it's Fallout?
Yeah.
Cooper Tank. The Plan of Pyro!
Oh my god.
I'm surprised he doesn't look like that considering the era.
Truth.
It's so good. The change of plans. The betrayal of literally anyone 10 feet from me. Worked a 15-hour shift again. No brain left for a bit.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. I get it.
Hey, Bob, can you imagine doing a death stream? It's like, okay, come up with a Podlord bit.
yeah, no.
I'm like, upload a picture of a banana. Don't change the name. I'm going to sleep. Indigo Sykes. Ohana means family, and family means you can also not play all these games I own. Evil Lucario. A raccoon still enjoying Rebirth's post-game. It looks
His mouth
edited.
looks so like I think it's just because the cracker is. But his mouth looks really huge somehow.
Yeah, I think that's edited. It has to
What
be.
the fuck have you done? Maybe it's a freeze frame on a high frame rate camera or something. I don't
maybe
know.
something like that. Because there's no way it was just leaving his mouth open.
Right, that seems impossible. Shinji16 would like to remind you that you matter, you are valid, and you deserve to be happy. Cloud plays a sliver deck in Magic the Gathering.
Disgusting.
My boy, this food is what all true warriors strive for.
Flawless.
The Super Mim. Nothing shall forehead stall her return. No.
I'm willing to bet money we will never see that bitch ever again. Much like they pretended Jinkaria still existed for like 10 episodes after we were out of the battle arc. They have to pretend Ruichio exists for a little while. But like her time, she has faded from the Back to the Future picture. She's gone now.
But the Kasumiyoji clan is so vital to the governing of Soul Society.
Also, how did the tournament go? We just don't know.
We don't know these things.
Sarlene. Timothy Pfister is doing a chaos check-in, showing support for Stranger of Paradise's 2nd anniversary. Let's go, gentlemen. Is this that unicorn overlord everyone is talking about?
No.
It's not Bob?
No.
It isn't Chris?
No.
I thought this was the guy. I wouldn't know. I don't have my copy.
I don't see any armpit.
Yeah, he does have weirdly like holes for his armpits in his armor.
Krungle Spum. Pleochrome. Lucilius is pretty brutal in Relink. Let's see what happens when they add the other final boss. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The nurses need to be whacked with the Nurse Whacker 5000. Hey, Chris, quick question. Why are you fused with Eustace from Courage the Cowardly Dog in this picture?
I don't know. I guess that's just how it be. I'm getting me mallet.
I am getting me mallet. The Diancie movie, Pokemon movie, got really weird, especially the part with the giant space laser powered by diamonds.
Correct. No notes.
Yeah.
For those who remember the Amanda show, this was how I felt getting every single little thing in Rebirth before going to Then I cut it off. We'll never know. Even the document just says
There is turns out, letter limit to this.
And you have just discovered it.
Sorry.
Glad you enjoyed your time in Silent Hill, Chris.
Stop making me see him. I don't
He's
like
happier
him.
than ever. Chevalier Dion.
Aw.
I know, right? How cute.
out of Bleach gags, so I'm just gonna have you read Yu-Gi-Oh card names. Red Rising Dragon. And did you know they made an Alan Wake movie? Thank you very much to our Podlord.
Come on.
Fuck you, that's good.
Podlord.
Thank you, Podlord.
Thank you, Podlords.
And if you'd like to become a Podlord, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/gbpodcast. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to many benefits such as early access to Chugging Bleach and Pokemon Go to the Movies, our 2 monthly anime review podcast, extended content from other shows such as Gamer Premonitions, a patron-funded show 1 a month, either a public show where we watch a bad thing and talk about it, or a private show where we watch a good thing and talk about it. And the bad things have patron-exclusive commentary tracks for things you'll never want to see, like Nintendo Quest. But you should watch Nintendo Quest.
It's true.
You also get a movie called Isolation 119 that is about a man going to Thailand in order to get a tax write-off on his vacation. That is what the movie is about. That's patreon.com/GGPodcast. And if you don't have any money, it always helps immensely to tell your friends, rate us on Thursdays, rate us on your podcasting app of choice, and leave a comment and subscribe on YouTube if you're listening that way right now. That's patreon.com/GGPodcast.
It's not a lake, it's an ocean.
Hey, anyways, we got news. News. Whoa! What? Why did that happen? Ah! Whoa! Wait one moment.
Water and water and water, water and water and water.
Anyways, hey, what's up? We got news. We
Dan,
survived the random
PS5 Pro.
Sure, I would love to tell you about the PS5 Pro, the news that broke right after last week's Big Think Dimension. Someone out there hates me. Why is this shit always gonna break it like right after? Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, what's up? You want to hear about the PS5 Pro? I would love to tell you about it. We got substantial gains.
Ooh.
All those gains on the GPU side. Only a 10% up clock in the CPU, so it's not much there. But as expected, the PS5 Pro is going to feature its own temporal AA. It has hardware to accelerate that, so it won't be taxing the GPU as directly as other solutions might. And it is a much better solution. There are images that have leaked showing it directly against Insomniac's own solution, FSR2, and it looks much better than both.
Ooh.
It literally looks much higher res, and I bet on top of that, it has fewer artifacts than FSR2 because FSR2 has the most image artifacts of anything ever.
Yeah, I didn't mention it during the 7 Rebirths talk, but oh my god, there's a set of scenes where you go around just Tifa, and the entire time her gloves have massive artifacts around them. And
Gloves are hard.
I don't get it.
Gloves are hard.
I don't get it.
Dude,
Why is
it was like
that?
Immortals of Avium when we change weapons.
Yes!
We go, what would ever make a video game show me this? Dude, run at 480p. Please.
Yeah.
I would like one whole image on the screen. Interesting thing, they're not actually increasing RAM.
That's so crazy.
What they are doing is strapping some extra shitty system RAM to run the other apps that run on the PS5. They're going to do this so that way they can add 1.2 gigs of usable space for games.
Yeah, how much do they have like total?
16.
16. Okay.
Yeah, and then before on the PS5 normal, it had 12 gigs for games, 4 gigs for the system and the other applications. And on the new one, games will have 13.7 gigs of RAM. This is relevant because using the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, PSSR, will actually take 250 megabytes, I believe, of RAM. But the thing is, like, I don't know off the top of my head what Unreal Engine's built-in temporal AA takes, space-wise,
Yeah, right.
and I don't know what FSR2 does. However, Digital Foundry has an hour-long video where they talk about the PS5 Pro. One of the things they note is in the developer documents for PSSR, the frame time it takes to do PSSR is 2 milliseconds. and I believe they were implying they hope to get that down in the future. Or maybe they just could get that down in the future. That is equivalent to FSR as it exists currently. So that's not longer. So it wouldn't add more taxing of a nature than that. Yeah, just based on the pictures I've seen, I'm like, yeah, good. Exactly that. That's what I was hoping for from the. That is why I'm buying a PS5 Pro. I want you to do this with 7 Rebirth. I want you to do this with Ratchet and Spider-Man and God of War. I want these amazing games to look even better. The interesting thing here is the PS5, as it launches, the original unit is actually a really balanced machine because the CPUs were radically powerful and the GPU was radically powerful for the time at the price point.
Right.
By increasing the power of the GPU so much, which it goes from 10.23 teraflops to 3 times that at 33.5 teraflops, you kind of ended up in a weird situation where it feels like your GPU is now drastically outpacing your CPU.
Right. Like that seems kind of crazy to upgrade one that much and the other so little.
Yeah, I have to wonder if the additional technology they have in it for accelerating ray tracing and the machine learning processing for the temporal AA will just take weight off of the CPU, perhaps.
I guess that's possible.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Weirdly enough, even though that number is triple, Sony internally is saying expect a 30 to 40% normal rasterized render improvement, despite it being 3 times the teraflops.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's got to be a reason that makes sense. There has to be a context in which that makes sense. I'm excited to see it, but even if it is only 30 to 40%, hey, you know what that does? That makes all of those games out there that are 90 frames per second to the 120 hertz mode lock 120.
Yeah.
So nice.
Right.
Already has some uses in pre-existing games, like even Prince of Persia: The Lost Crowns, like 90 to 100 or something.
Yeah, I bet that would also smooth things out for that or Resident Evil 4 hair.
Yeah, I bet the performance buff from this will get that to 60. I bet it will. Other things of note, the memory is vastly higher bandwidth. That was actually one of the areas where the PS5 was objectively significantly lesser than the Series X. Is the Series X had much higher memory bandwidth. Now this has even more than that. It has 576 gigabytes per second. The original version was 448. So that's a decent chunk. Is that a fourth exactly? It's somewhere around that much. Decent uptick. And I basically covered it all, but to put this into a frame of reference, okay? The interesting thing about this PS5 Pro's GPU, the CPU is the same architecture as the original because of how back compat works on Sony consoles. They don't really change the architecture of the CPU ever in between the Pro model and the original. The GPU is a newer architecture. It not only has RDNA 3 stuff in it, which is the generation after the PS5, it also has this custom Sony stuff. All of this stuff I just talked about with the machine learning built in and all these other things in order to... Oh, I haven't even talked about ray tracing. Wonder why. Anyway.
It's so important, Dan.
Someone listening... You're out there. You care about ray tracing. Please leave a comment. I want to believe one person, listening to this podcast cares.
Yeah, and then they have to prove it by being able to pick the right image of the 2 images that have it off and on.
Bob, we're struggling enough to get them to care. We don't need to also get them to be able to discern. That's another additional hoop to jump through. But I actually don't. Let me talk about the ray tracing thing.
Sure.
So the ray tracing performance is the thing that goes absolutely nuts on this console, totally bonkers. It's 3 to 4 times as fast at ray tracing, which is a massive fucking uptick. That is unreal for generational gains, which tells me either AMD let Sony premiere their brand new RDNA 4 hardware with ray tracing done right for the first time ever, or Sony engineered themselves this technology, because the way Sony works with AMD is they do make their own technologies to stick in the PlayStations that are not in that architecture
stock from AMD.
Right.
A 3 to 4 times ray tracing improvement in 4 years is absolutely fucking nuts, and I think NVIDIA would kill a man to get that. But obviously, NVIDIA's ray tracing has good solutions in it already, whereas AMD was basically running it as it can ray trace. Yeah, sure. So I spent a moment and I was like, what's a good frame of reference for this? We need a good frame of reference for what this value proposition is now. Because at launch, I was able to look at a GPU relative to that, 2070 Super. What's a GPU that's on the market now that's recent that you could compare the PS5 Pro to so we can understand what the value proposition of its graphics performance is?
Okay.
A $500 GPU that came out September. So that's pretty fucking strong, considering a console is not just the GPU, it's the whole shebang.
Right.
It's the CPU, a shitload of RAM, et cetera, et cetera. And I believe this has a little bit more RAM than that did too. So and of course, as I just talked about, a good temporal AA solution with the PSSR and much better ray tracing performance, radically better ray tracing performance. So this honestly seems like it's punching for the price, assuming it comes in at anything sane, whether that's $500 or $600, any above that, and it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't understand why it feels incomprehensible for them to try and ship something higher than 600. That
It does.
That feels like I would genuinely start to be like, oh, Sony's Microsoft now, like it's over. Like that's a level of not grasping the moment that is condemning.
Yeah, I feel like given that we see the PS5 at a pretty decent sales price, occasionally, $50 lower, whatever, bundles, etc., we should be heading towards a $400 PS5 by the end of the year. God, you would think.
We've had better. With no Jim Ryan.
I do feel like it'll be like, even if it's 600, the base one will go down to 400.
One of the weird things about this shift, though, is that the clock speed didn't get radically higher on any end of this. Like the CPU goes up 10%. The GPU, that is a tiny fucking 0.25 or 2.5% up clock. Like it's barely anything. Which is weird because the whole paradigm of them designing the PS5 originally was they were talking about, well, we want to do a higher clock rate instead of a wider compute stack for the GPU and stuff, because a lot of processes in rendering the image aren't enhanced by making a wide execution architecture or more cores and whatnot, as much as they are just running the GPU and CPU faster, or GPU specifically in this case. One of those things, as far as I understand it anyways, would be something like VR, doing 2 viewports and other things like that, high frame rate modes, things like that. So anyways, they went from having an architecture that was considered sort of like you considered it narrow but fast to wide but the same speed. It's really interesting. I think this looks pretty strong. I think this is pretty compelling. We'll have to see what the price point is, and we need to see what the support for PSSR is. The good news is all pre-existing games can actually have PSSR backported to it. If you recall, there were problems when the PS5 came out getting certain features of higher frame rates and whatever into PS4 games because they were made on an old SDK.
Right.
And it would be like, oh, you have to update the SDK and break your whole game possibly in order to do that. This is not like that. You can insert PSSR into you could do it to a PS5 game from 2021.
Okay.
And that would be, other than the effort of implementing it, not a problem. So we could even see something like Returnal conceptually. Get that. And that would be really great. I cannot stress, if we're going to live in a world with temporal anti-aliasing, I'm going to need it to never be FSR too specifically.
It is just bad. Completely non-pixel peepers are like, why do games look worse now?
Yeah.
I will use this to segue briefly out of PlayStation news. AMD announced yesterday FSR 3.1, which is just a good temporal AA solution. I'm like, thank you for ruining a year of games. Fucking thanks.
The cause of and solution to all of gaming's problems.
Right, literally that bad. Let me see if I still have the GIFs around, because I could just embed it straight into this podcast video, and then, you know, I don't have to describe it. But a lot of the artifacts you generally think of when it comes to FSR, where it's just like the thing won't track with the rest of it, so things are blurry and pixelated and breaking apart. Instability, where they showed it off in Ratchet and Clank on PC. Already, that's the first game they showed off on. The lighting would just be flickering on the ground in a completely static environment, because based on the pixels it sampled and its bad algorithm for FSR2, it would just not work right. So anyways, let's scale these bad boys up. Do you not loop GIFs, bro? OBS, we gotta talk. There is no way. I have not seen these pause like this anywhere else. But you can see what's happening. The right one's FSR2, and you can see it just break apart entirely as it tries to rotate the thing. The left one's FSR 3.1, and you can see it actually retains a wholeness to the object. You know?
Man, FSR 2 is so bad.
It's fucking trash. They ruined a year of video games, and now I just have to sit here and go, please fix Jedi Survivor. Please. It is not okay that game has been drowning in this. So thank you, MD, for having a terrible solution. Yeah, our Avium's not going to get it. There's like no way they have the post-launch support for that. That feels crazy. I would be jazzed if they did, because fun fact, we were covering events for streams, and I had to buy that game digitally. I own it for the rest of time. So if you could update it with like FSR 3.1 and or PSSR, that'd be great. Thank you. I would like to see on a version of that game I own what it looks like to change my weapon.
Man, I wonder when they're actually going to announce the Pro.
I feel like GDC happening right now, there has to be more talks and things.
Right? Like they have to, like it's all leaking out. They have to just tell people soon. That
would be nice if they told us soon. I bet they wait until like summer.
Yeah, probably will. Right? Wait till June or so.
I feel like they did a special thing for the PS4 Pro. Like they didn't wait until gaming for that. So I imagine it'll be the same.
If I remember correctly, the PS4 Pro event happened 1 to 2 months before it launched. So if that happened again, we should expect this in September or October, depending.
Or they could announce it whenever they do the next PlayStation thing, which is coming.
Okay. Yeah, it's gotta be.
We know for a fact there's one before Stellar Blade, because otherwise, why else would they have a Stellar Blade? Like they will announce the Stellar Blade demo at a thing.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, that's what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And will happen. Damn it. Overall, with the PS5 Pro news, seems good. Seems good all around. I don't think it's going to be like when you think about PS4 versus PS4 Pro. PS4 Pro got you actual HDR,
right?
4K output, and checkerboard rendering techniques to better achieve that in games. So it's a little hard conceptually for me to be like, will this be as impactful? And part of what I think might make it that impactful is if the ray tracing is that much faster, then fidelity modes in certain of these games, like Spider-Man 2 and other things, could maybe run at 60.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah.
Like right now, as it currently is on the PS5, ray tracing is taking the performance that the rest of the GPU could be using to render the fucking game faster.
Right.
If you are that much faster at ray tracing, you would ergo alleviate the onus, the weight of ray tracing that much. So, you know, maybe we get high resolution ray traced fidelity modes running at 60. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm sad that since it's mainly an increase in GPU and not CPU, it probably won't be able to fix Dragon's Dogma 2.
Bob,
Not that anything
it's me,
needs to be.
Jesus Christ. I'm here to tell you nothing.
I know, right?
Nothing. Hey, you know when AMD rolls out those new CPUs? Not even. God. I actually don't know. Like, I haven't seen thorough system benchmarks. I bet we will probably see that from somewhere I
bet
respect.
when the game actually comes out.
Right. I want to know how much of a difference the 3D cache technology on PC makes. You know, like, is the 3D cache version of the next generation AMD CPU gonna be able to save it? Who knows? But memory bandwidth can help in a lot of games where it's currently suffering a bit. Yeah, there are a number of ways this could help pre-existing games that you might even like. And PSSR is just so infinitely better than FSR2.
You're going to add PSSR to Valkyrie Elysium, right? You're going to do that, right? Please.
It's a PS4 game, wasn't it?
There was a PS5 version.
PS4 version.
I couldn't remember, honestly. The game definitely doesn't carry itself like a PS5 game.
Not at all. Hardly carries itself like a PS4 game.
And I played it on PC where it still doesn't run well because the highest it can run is 60. So it would just hold 60 until it hitched, and then it would hitch heavily. God, I love owning a 4090. There's so many benefits. Let's move on. PSVR 2 has a firmware update that makes it work mostly on PC.
Oh,
yeah. They only have to do a little bit more work. The person who is developing all of that tech to make PSVR 2 work on PC is already looking at it. It's like, yeah, it's stop trying to hide.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this is something entirely on the back end where the consumers can't see it yet.
Yeah. No, only that hacker has been able to go, yo, that driver update made it stop running away from me and is now working. So Sony's VR headset on support on PC may just be a dongle you buy from them to get it to work on your PC. Holy shit.
That's incredible.
Damn. Like,
right?
That excites me as a person who already owns it. I can't imagine looking at the price tag of the headset and going, and also you have to buy this thing to make it work on PC.
You can if your alternatives are $1,100 headsets.
Right?
It is true. This is the you don't have to buy a PS5 dongle.
Yeah.
For just a drastically better headset.
Yeah, no, it's a great headset. Like, it's really, really good. I did find out the other week. So the MetaQuest 3 has cameras that track the outside so it can do AR shit.
Okay.
Somebody surfaced for developers on PC to use the proper body simulation it's doing with those cameras for your body tracking. They just showed mocapped movement with the headset on PC in a game. I was like, fuck, what? Because normally to get that level of tracking, you need towers and shit. You need a bodysuit.
Right.
And the camera and the other shit they built directly into the headset's just like, oh yeah, no, you're crouching, you're leaning on one leg, you're twisting, all of that. And I'm like, fuck. I'm not gonna buy it. You can't trick me. But that's pretty exciting news on that front.
Mm-hmm.
Last bit of news for me. PS5 got a UI update. Did you see this?
I think so.
The Explore tab's completely different now. Like,
I didn't
radically
actually look at
different.
it. Yeah.
It has widgets that tell you helpful information all over it, and it surfaces relevant things to you. Instead of just being, here's some shitty ads, fuck off, kid.
Yeah. Yeah, the Explore tab is always bad.
Like, it shows how charged your controller is. It shows what trophy level you're at. It shows, I think I even saw it showing who's online in your friends group or whatever.
Yeah, you could apparently pick two different settings of like the first player focused one and the multiplayer focused one.
That's pretty awesome. That's really good. But yeah, they're testing out that in a sort of beta where it's not rolled out universally to all PS5s so far, it seems. In the US. And then they're going to presumably expand it to other territories.
As I understand it, you can also pick like a background image for the Explore tab.
Oh,
but
just
only that. You get a wallpaper, but it's only for this tab.
That's so
Come
weird.
on.
All right.
That is weird, but I'll take it. That's it for my news. Bob, are you getting a PS5 Pro?
Probably. Even though I can't even think of it off the top of my head, like, what would you play on? It's like, we'll play the next whatever I'm playing better, right?
Which is funny because it's like, I already know what the launch stream is. We're buying a PS5 Pro and we're booting Immortals of Avium and Spider-Man 2 and Returnal.
Yeah. No, they need to tell me how many things are getting that PSSR.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously
Radically
important.
better.
Yeah.
It's not even close. It feels like an actual DLSS quality thing.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if I were to guess, and this is me perhaps being cynical, I would assume the FSR 3.1 algorithm is more intense to run. I'm skeptical that it is exactly as lightweight as FSR 2.2,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll have to see. Hey, Bob.
Hey.
FSR 2 / all the points. Temporal anti-aliasing. FSR 3 frame generation. FSR 3.1 temporal anti-aliasing again.
Why aren't these two differently named
Hey,
things?
Bob, DLSS 2 temporal anti-aliasing.
I know.
DLSS 3 frame generation. DLSS 3.5 denoising for ray tracing.
What?
Tech companies.
Yeah, they need to be stopped. These could all have different names.
The fuck are you doing? When Apple releases a new iPhone, it is a higher number than the prior iPhone. They don't release 3 phones to retail at once that are they don't release an iPad and 2 different phones to retail and go, that's 11, 12, and 13.
Right? This isn't a hard concept.
Anyway, let's move away from that.
I noticed nobody wrote down the Riven news. Was there like any hard news there?
There will be a Riven.
It will be significant.
That's it. That's the news.
All right, great.
They're remaking Riven.
Yeah, it was just a little teaser with a symbol and some narration and nothing.
But that meant a lot to you, right, Aggro?
Oh yeah, no, like I've known they've been remaking Riven forever, and I still popped off.
Man, that means you have to force Bob into a nightmare flop swap between Mist and Riven.
God, we will die.
Chow, we've been here 40 hours.
No, like
Now that's the stream to overcome a crack in time.
if you're gonna switch off of Riven, which I don't recommend, that's just fuck, man. You got to switch between 2 and 3. So Riven and Exile.
I think, or it would be funny to do like one puzzle game, one the most completely fucking flat-brained, it's so obvious what to do games possible.
That would be the doable one. Unlike the puzzle games where like what part worked in this game and where did it come from?
Obviously, we do a flop swap between Mist, the golf course Mist, and Walkabout Mini Golf, and Riven.
Great.
Mario Sunshine and Mist.
2 riddles for Bob to solve. Hey, Bob.
Hey, there's other news.
Okay, cool.
We actually got to see Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves. It has a full name now.
Okay,
It's coming out early 2025.
cool.
They're doing an English dub.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
surprising.
Yeah, I never expect SNK to do that.
They're like, now's our time.
Now that there's going to be a smaller roster than King of Fighters, we will do it.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense when you think about it. It's like, oh, yeah, we only have to dub a third as many characters or something.
Right.
Shit.
If even, because KOFs they go crazy. We got to see more of the actual game, like they showed just gameplay footage and introduced all these characters, and it has a kind of Marvel versus Capcom 3 art style to it. Like it has a little bit of that comic look. But the characters they showed off were Rock Howard, Terry Bogard, Hotaru Futaba, T-Zoc, and the new Pesha.
Preacha.
Preacha?
Preacha.
It's Thai. So I don't know.
I'm going with Preacha.
But yeah, she knows Muay Thai and is a scientist who is researching ki and the disciple of Joe Higashi, the guy from earlier Fatal Furies. The one who takes who moons you when he wins.
Yeah. What honorable skills you will learn from Joe Higashi.
But yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's the first time that Hotaru Futaba's been in a game, I think, since Garo.
Oh, that's depressing.
So people are popping off for her coming back.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And those the voices sound pretty good. Like they definitely got someone who's trying to sound like doing the Terry Bogard.
Good. Basta Wolf.
Yeah, those voice clips in Japanese, but trying to getting them can speak English.
It's an AI.
No,
Don't worry, it's a good one.
They announced the actual voice actor for all of these.
The audition for that should just be recreating the Terry Yum-goon YouTube video where they put a bunch of Terry Bogard quotes. Have you never seen that that video?
No.
Where they just put a bunch of fighting game clips over a scene from I think the kung fu movie called The Guardian, I think is what it's called.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and he's
he
like
just runs up
ascending
the
the big
stairs and
spiral
he's
building,
punching all
whipping
the
everyone's
dudes.
ass.
I'm pretty sure it's the Protector. I think that's a Kajeto-kun video.
It is a Kajeto-kun video. And then everyone goes, who the fuck's Kajeto-kun? And I'm like, hey, you know Gutsman's ass? You're welcome. Ain't nobody would have known his ass was in that cartoon if not for Kajeto-kun. They definitely wouldn't associate it with bow down.
Probably not. No, that wouldn't make any sense.
Hey, Bob, do you have any fighting game news aside from
we did get other fighting game news.
Oh, that's good.
They announced that ABBA is going to be in Guilty Gear. She's the psychotic-looking girl with a giant key.
Oh, I thought she was the dancing queen.
No, that's her. She's obviously stolen the name from that, but I don't think there's any actual relation.
No, this name's different. It's got periods and only one B.
That's so different. Doesn't even a regular ABBA have periods?
It might.
I'm not sure.
And then I was like, what does it stand for? And then they go ABBA, and I'm like, fuck you. Don't do this to me.
Yeah, but I guess people are speculating that her hair is green now because it's like it's iodizing like the
oxygenated copper or something.
Yeah, like that, like the Statue of Liberty.
She's an artificial being.
See, I didn't even know that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's
very
strange.
I don't think she's been in any fucking Guilty Gear that came out while I paid it. Like, I think, was she in like the PS1? Did she come back for some shit like Asuka?
She's in
Asuka.
I thought she was introduced in one of the late PS2 ones.
I thought she was an XX
one.
I think
she was introduced in like the PS1 one.
Everyone is very excited to play as their longtime character they're a fan of, ABBA, for the first time ever.
Okay, she was introduced in Isuka, the one where it had like the bad beat 'em up mode.
Yeah, that's.
Don't worry, you don't have to remind me which one's he.
So that is not the one. The only one I ever played before Xrd was Reload on PS2.
Yeah, ABBA's always had a really cool design. I played her a little bit, and in the one after Isuka, which I can never remember the name of, because they did one more. Like, here's the real fighting
Reload.
Game. Maybe
there's that and Accent Core.
Sign, Accent Core. Yeah.
By the way, Daisuke Ishiwatari confirmed she just dyed her hair.
Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Everyone's running fan theories, and he's like, it's dyed.
Dan. Dan.
Uh-huh.
Now that you have the flop swap technology,
no, I know where this train is
going. Dan.
Oh no!
It's time for Guilty Gear 2.
No, in a flop swap.
What with?
I don't know. Did you know they released that on PC in 2016?
No.
You can buy that game on Steam.
Weird.
I think we've had the disc for the 360.
Yeah, we had the 360
one
forever. Just like it's.
We might as well own the Sword of Damocles if it's going to hang over our heads. We're very pragmatic like that over here at GigaBoots.
Well, yeah, you flop swap it with some other Warriors game.
I'm trying to think, like, are there any other fighting games that really hit a weird genre?
Tekken 6 story mode.
Bob's
there
stream
any
ideas
fighting-
making me dizzy.
Street Fighter 6 World Tour mode flop swap with
Oh,
Guilty Gear 2?
That's so much.
Virtua Quest flop swap with Guilty Gear 2.
There we
There it
go.
is.
There we go. That's it. That's perfect.
Or one of the PS2 Mortal Kombats with roaming around flop swap with Guilty Gear 2.
We just do a flop swap of one of those Mortal Kombats with another one, and we're like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's like, which one was which?
I forget.
You flop swap from Raiden fucking everything up to Raiden fucking everything up.
He just did that though, right?
He can't do it
going
again.
insane, right? Why is the scene looping? He does it the same way in both games. It's like a sitcom. He enters the scene from one direction, he leaves from the other.
Do not worry, Liu Kang. I checked with Reddit. I am fine to cut the branch on Shao Kahn's tree. It is over my yard.
I posted, "Am I the asshole?" And they all said no, except for the ones that I blocked.
Jesus.
And then when he does this, you hear the studio applause, ooh sound.
Jesus.
Every week, this idea gets stronger.
Right?
Every week. Anyways, hey, Bob.
Hey.
What other news do you... Chat, did you know that we don't just have a fun time talking about it with the games we've been playing or the latest big news? Sometimes we let you know about the stealth bombers out there. Bob, do we have any stealth bombers flying around that people would never find out happened?
Yeah, like midnight last night or something. Paramount Plus just dropped 6 episodes of that Ark animated series. For Ark Survival Evolved with a ton of celebrities.
Yeah, it's out.
Like Michelle Yeoh and
It's out.
Vin Diesel. It's like, what do you mean it's just sitting there?
It's
What?
out now. We left it on the counter.
Yeah.
You can help yourself. It's like a fucking Halloween bucket full of candy. Help yourself. Signed right above it. They just left it out. It's been weeks.
Yeah, they could have uploaded this at any time, but people found it last night.
Yeah. So, anyways, there you go. Arc animated series. Help yourself.
I can't believe they did this. After, I think the last time I heard about it was 2022.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, we also have news from Inti Creates. They're making a new game.
Okay.
Let me try and get this. Card and Seal.
Like Arc and Seal or whatever, but Card and Seal.
Yes.
It's a card battling RPG, which looks like kind of inspired by Mega Man Battle Network. So you have like the 2 grids of 9 for each character, and you can move around and do moves based on the cards you pull.
It definitely looks inspired by Battle Network.
Inti Creates is making a game inspired by a Mega Man franchise?
I know, crazy. It's going to have roguelike elements, which they didn't elaborate on too much.
Roguelike or roguelite?
Roguelite with a T.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. It's
Very different.
This is coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. And it has a weird thing in the trailer where it acts like, oh my god, people are coming from all these different worlds, from different video games.
It's like the Avengers portal opens and a janitor walks through, and you're like, is this some famous janitor? He's like, my name's Clarence. I came here to wipe the floors.
I didn't recognize any of them. So I'm like,
It looks like it might be a contrivance, yeah.
yeah, I think it's like some contrivance for the story of this game.
Who in their right goddamn mind takes a weird multiverse plot to write a normal game?
Right, especially when it's like they're coming from different video games. Like that's you could just say it comes from different worlds, and I wouldn't just think that. And then they even show a girl who's like, well, she's clearly going to be one of those like those singing idols from the Gunvolt series. It's like, no, she doesn't match the design of any of those.
Maybe it's like them taking the piss out of themselves, and these are like knockoffs of their own characters.
Maybe.
Because if you look at the screenshots on Steam, some of these cards are like they look like guys from like the Silver Case almost.
All right.
Weird.
Like they look like really realistic, kind of dour, like detective characters.
Bizarre. Yeah, I don't think I saw that in the trailer. Man.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it could be neat. I don't know. And the last thing I got, more fighting game news. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero announced more characters.
Oh, great. How many Gokus?
No Gokus, sorry. No, not this time. Maybe next time we'll get more Gokus, Dan. You don't need to... There's like another 100 characters to reveal or something.
Yeah,
promise?
people are like, oh, I can't believe that guy's in. I'm like, this is a Tenkaichi game. Everybody better be in.
Right?
Yeah, it's like Smash
If-
Ultimate.
if I can't play as fucking Spike the Devil Man, I'm gonna riot. I better be able to pick a pool.
This game looks crazy. It also just showed like, here's like 20 minutes or 15 minutes of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
It looks insane.
Yeah, no, it looks absolutely nuts, and my brain feels good when I see Dragon Ball look that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's like, oh, you're fooling me again. It took you. It's been since burst limit, but you might have fooled me.
I'm shaking my gamer chair. 1 second, the money's flying out of my wallet. No.
I really hope that it has the shit from, like, I think it was Tenkaichi 2 that had all these bizarre alternate things.
Yeah, where you have weird different stories.
Yeah, that's a thing they do in Xenoverse, but that's diegetic. It's like time travel,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the time traveling character. I just want, like, what if Goku didn't get killed fighting Raditz? What if they somehow nailed that without? How does the story go? And there was all kinds of weird shit like that in Tenkaichi 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the appeal.
I guess I should go through all these characters.
Sure.
Birder.
Uh-huh.
Dicepo?
That is a guy from the Tournament of Power.
Okay. Hit, because everyone knows Hit.
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Jace.
time to make the donuts.
Whoever wrote this list, Birder and Jace should be next to each other. What do you
Yes,
feel
they
like?
should. They're gay.
Don't
They're
separate
real
them.
gay.
Konkunsa,
Tournament of Power.
of
Pretty
course.
sure that's a Pokemon.
right. Master Roshi, Max Power.
So that's him all jacked.
Yes, that looks really funny. Nappa, he does the thing. Don't worry,
He
he's
does the
there.
thing?
He does the thing where he's
Oh, okay.
pulls
Oh,
two
oh.
fingers up and everything explodes.
Then Super Saiyan God Goku dies somehow.
Yes.
You go, this is the dumbest motherfucking video game. Why did I spend so much money on this?
Super Saiyan Broly,
Full power.
full power. Super Saiyan Kale, Berserk.
Yeah, that's Girl Broly from Super.
Right.
I think the internet knows.
Super Trunks, because yeah, it's him, super buff. They did this in a trailer, I believe they called Speed versus Power, and most of them are like, Trunks, you're an idiot. We're gonna beat you up really fast.
Oh no!
That's literally how it went in continuity.
Right? So it's just like
It just keeps
Jace and
happening.
Birder show up.
Oh no! Come on! A fucking Ginyu is bullying him.
I mean, the thing was going fast. And then Topo.
Yeah, that's Tournament of Power guy. He's real cool.
He is.
He spends like 2 entire episodes just beating Frieza's ass.
Well, I'm always in favor of that.
Well, that's
Like
it.
it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as the Broly movie where he's just getting like deformed by punches, but it was pretty rough.
That's it for Bob News. I'm excited to head over to Chris.
Oh, no.
No.
I'm worried about
There's
Chris's
nowhere to
news.
escape to, Dan.
One
It's
sec.
over.
Oh, can we?
It's over.
Does our special guest host have to come out?
Yeah,
that
sure,
bad?
bring him
Okay,
out.
That's
So Overwatch 2's PvE missions have been canceled again because they refuse to just fucking outright cancel this shit. We keep having to get, we lowered the scope more. We lowered the scope more. We lowered the scope more. And now it appears to just be finally actually canceled. What seemingly
Jesus.
happened was they did a PvE mission pack already that was $15 and nobody bought it. Not a single person.
Nobody knows it came
Uh-huh.
out. Nobody playing the game anymore. What are you talking about?
Please give us
apparently-
$15 for the thing that was supposed to be what the game was.
Yeah, that too.
And then apparently that would, like, whether or not they put more resources into this shit was the metric. That was the Blizzard test, like the Capcom test, but much stupider.
This has been like the Xeno's arrow of canceling a game. Like first, you have to cancel half the game, and then you have to cancel half of what remains, and then you have to cancel half of what's still there, and then you have to cancel half of that.
Yeah, that's a lot of things in the gaming industry right now. Perhaps too much.
Yeah, when are they just gonna just shut the game down completely? Because that's what it feels like is on the way.
I thought he was going to say the game industry, and it's like, yeah, you know what? Turn it off, turn it back on. Maybe we'll fix it. Maybe.
Let's see. Probably in roughly 2 years, when Microsoft is looking at their financials to end the fiscal year. You know, assuming the court doesn't rip it out of their hands, and then it gets shut down in the weird uncertainty of that. But there's good news. They are making starting the next season, which starts in April. All heroes will be free. All the heroes that were on the battle pass will be free for everyone, and all upcoming heroes will be free. And I saw somebody post the that stupid tweet where it's like Elon Musk will eventually trial and error his way back to the exact same policies Twitter had when he bought it. Somebody's like, Blizzard's now trialing and erring their way back to the exact same policies of Jeff Kaplan.
Yeah. No,
it's gonna. How fucking pathetic will they look when they're like, it's 6v6 again?
That'd be so good.
Yeah.
Because all I hear is, that ruined the game. It totally broke game balance forever in a way they've never been able to fix.
I'm sure that every character having heal ability will fix it somehow. That's totally a reasonable thing to have done. God.
Here's so Bungie.
You skipped one line here about apparently they can't manage shoot robots while radio conversations happen.
Oh, that's my assumption of what the PvE missions were going to be. Is you shoot robots while
someone in chat was literally saying, "Yeah, I bought it for $15. It was definitely not worth it." I'm like, damn, dude, this isn't $5. It's $15. You should fucking earn it. That's a whole other indie game.
Yeah, no, that's a lot to ask. If it's like for any of those weird modes they've ever made for Overwatch, none of them felt like they were $15 worth.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's like, guys, Team Fortress 2 managed a PvE mode. What the fuck's your problem?
What the fuck is your problem is what we've been asking the Overwatch team since year 2?
Yeah, very much.
You know what? I think at least everybody is spared from them trying to write more things for Overwatch. Because seemingly, anytime they try to write more, it just doesn't fucking work out.
You know, it helped them write things for Overwatch characters. Is some sort of story,
a writer,
or missions that would allow them to have things happen instead of just someone blurting it out awkwardly, like they're trying to make idle conversation. They're like, "I had to change my name." And then no one says anything. And then fucking Winston's like, "Oh, that's really interesting." And then everyone else is like, "Fuck." And we're trapped with Winston and no longer McCree having a conversation about his fucking name.
And then Symmetra looks directly at the screen and says, "I'm autistic because my name is Symmetra. That's the level of writing Overwatch is on. I also love paradox strategy games."
I think Sigma is where I finally drew the line. Sigma, when I was just like, what am I? What?
God, the Symmetra. I can't even talk about the Symmetra thing. It will make me too upset. It's like, here's Blizzard's new neurodivergent character, Autismo. And I'm like, what? What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure that's a Matt Stone and Trey Parker movie, Autismo. Meanwhile, they're like, here's Sigma. He's mentally unwell. And I'm like, okay, what's your deal? He's like, feet. I'm like,
well, I get it. You want to have representation in your game. Did you know that you need to have a story for that? Especially if it's something that isn't obvious to the eye?
So about how StarCraft Ghost is a billion times smarter than a lot of things Blizzard's been doing since.
Yes.
That's okay. That character was in an important choice you made in the first StarCraft 2 campaign. Anyway, so Marathon, Bungie's game Marathon, has lost its director and is being rebooted away from you have your own character that has customization to you pick a hero class. It is seemingly still an extraction shooter, though. It's just you pick a hero class instead of it.
Why the fuck would they do this?
Oh, I'll tell you why they're doing it, Dan. According to many people at Bungie, considering, like, even the employees are like, I've seen financials. They're gonna lay off half the company after that new Destiny 2 thing comes out because it's not gonna sell enough. Like, the numbers don't make sense in any fucking way.
Hey, Bob, it's time for giving games a chance. Destiny 2. It's time.
The plan seems, Bungie's leadership plan seems to be, do anything you have to do, cut off whatever limb, sell whatever organ, to make it to keep Sony from enacting their "we now control Bungie" thing until 2026 when they get their final payout.
Oh my god.
For being acquired. And then they seem to just be like, we're leaving now. Enjoy the burning wreckage we let you with. If I was Sony, I'd have them killed.
Yeah.
Like, they're surely I would, if I was Sony, I'd be like, fuck you, we're selling you to Microsoft. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Problem is, Sony was being run by Jim, no balls won't end a human life, Ryan, who won't fucking kill some people.
I like that you became a Wayne's World impersonation for that.
I can't, but like, this is insane. It's like the leadership's plan is literally sell our. Let the studio become a
It's just to let the entire studio rot for the sake of a paycheck. Like,
it's so transparent nowadays. I feel like in the aughts they acted like it was this bad, but it was nowhere near this bad all the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane, and I'm.
Oh yeah, did I cover
Sony? Sell them to somebody.
Okay, here's the thing though. By then, Sony's under new leadership, and I feel like someone somewhere at Sony can look at Bungie and be like, these fuckers made Halo. We could just make Halo. Kojima's just making Metal Gear right now.
Can they just make Halo, considering so many people have been fucking fired?
I mean, they got
Can they make anything anymore? The answer seems to be no.
I think they definitely can't make a successful live service game that isn't constantly on fire. But I'm really gonna be a little bit shocked if Marathon ships. Like, after me
this
too.
report.
Yeah, if we're getting a reboot now,
we're done.
And I even prefer the concept of heroes over generic characters you make. That can be cooler. But this game was supposed to come out like next year. You can't do that now.
Right.
That's just a sign of everything's going wrong.
Man, could you imagine that you listened to a gaming news podcast when they saw Marathon last year, said, oh shit, that is nowhere near done. Why are they showing this? Instead of, oh, poggers, clap, I'm so excited. It's got to be just around the corner. Because I feel like every other outlet did not properly look at that and go, that is nowhere near fucking done.
Yeah.
You do not show that if you have shit to show.
Right. No, that was a CG trailer that didn't even portray its concepts in gameplay.
And then you cut to a dev room where a bunch of people are like, oh, it's so great. The feeling of extracting in a shooter. Anyway, fuck this Bungie situation. This shit sucks. Hey, Bob, you don't get to look at the document.
Okay.
What is the name of Amy Hennig's Marvel game?
Okay, I think I can get this. Marvel 1943. All right.
Nope, you forgot the subtitle.
No. I'm trying to think of the subtitle right now.
Okay. He's got it. He's working on it.
Hail Hydra?
No! Oh,
Wrong.
I need the game show sound on the stream deck. How do I not have that? Anyways, Rise of Hydra. We're sorry,
so
Bob.
Close.
You do not get the dish set. You have to go home empty-handed. Very unfortunate.
Anyway, we saw Amy Hennig's game that she's been working on since I think 2019.
Yeah, that sounds
when
right.
that thing started development. It's called Marvel 1943: Rise of Hydra. There was no gameplay. From the fucking trailer, we could infer that it's gonna have it's gonna be an open world in a city, so it'll probably be Assassin's Creed-esque. It's gonna have it has 4 playable characters, so too many.
What? You actually play those other 2? I thought those were like the guy on the radio for each one.
Nope. Those are confirmed to be playable characters.
They are on the title and logo.
Because they don't know what the fuck they're doing, Bob.
Why?
Because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I can't even I'm playing a Marvel. I want to play. Is Captain America or Black Panther?
So here's my idea.
Uh-huh.
If it's not an open world game, which I didn't get the vibe that it was an open world game from this trailer, then you could have levels where you have to play as them where it would work and make sense.
Yeah.
You know,
possible.
like Black Ops Cold War had a level where you go through like the Russian Ministry of Information.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a level like that as one of these side people. You could do more grounded levels as them. But like, you're wasting your time, our time, and your money.
Mm-hmm. Making 4 entirely different gameplay modes.
I assume it will be some shit like those will be things like Mary Jane and Spider-Man 2, where it's like this is like a set PC thing that is wildly different and half baked. But so yeah, in the chaos of World War II, Captain America and Azuri, that is T'Challa's father, that is the Black Panther that is in the MCU's dad, who is the current Black Panther of there, have to destroy Hydra and the Nazis in occupied Paris. This game probably cost $350 million, because if you look at the fucking trailer they uploaded, it's like, holy shit, this is really unbelievably good looking. No video game should be this good looking. You're doomed.
Somebody asked the question I feel like everyone wants to know. Why didn't you just call it Captain America and Black Panther?
Yeah.
Give it a cool title and then colon Captain America Black Panther, or Captain America Black Panther subtitle Rise of Hydra. Oh wow, look, a title people can remember. Meanwhile, you called it Marvel 1943, and people associate Marvel with movies. There are people in the comment section on this who thought it was
first.
Right.
I thought this was like, okay, oh, Disney's getting into those CG Resident Evil movies with their own shit.
And that's understandable. There's nothing that even implies this is a video game.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're uploading your own trailer as Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra parentheses Captain America and Black Panther game.
Yep, you already know.
Like you failed the fucking assignment.
So here's the amazing thing. You know how I knew this wasn't a Marvel movie? How's that? The backgrounds look more realistic than the backgrounds from the Marvels.
Yeah, man, the Marvels looked real bad. I mean, heck, the main character returned into something you wouldn't even put in a PS2 cutscene. Frequently.
I mean, you could put it in PS2 cutscene, I would laugh really hard.
Yes.
As bad as this title is, what it mostly does is remind me of Marvel 1602 and think of all the money that could have been spent on making a Marvel 1602 movie or game, because that's a much cooler idea than this.
That is a much cooler idea, but it's a little bit too high concept for general audiences. I'm sorry, Aggro.
Instead, we should remake the exact movie we already made, but as a game. The one we made years and years ago, the first Captain America movie.
I mean, that's what the Guardians of the Galaxy game was. It's like, let's make a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Like, this is very obviously coming from Disney.
Yeah.
And only Sony had a big enough dick to say, you wanted us to make a game, you let us fucking make a game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this shit's insane.
And what a coincidence. That's the only fucking one of these new Marvel projects since remember when Disney was like, we're only partnering with credible developers to make our games from now on, and then every single thing but Spider-Man bombed.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep.
Why did most of those bomb again? Oh yeah, because their budgets were absolutely insane and they would never make that money back while also trying to make an infinite money game. It's a good thing the industry isn't still trying to do that something like 6 years later.
No, sorry, Dan. That's not why Midnight Suns and Guardians of the Galaxy bombed. Those just both sold 0 copies.
Midnight Suns definitely overspent on the budget, though. That game has insane shit in it. Like, that is there. You cannot make a strategy game that is that expensive.
Yeah,
you will never break even.
I feel like they did that same thing with Guardians. Like, that was something that was insanely expensive for that team.
And then that even sold well, and it was like, yeah, we got nowhere near. It's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
This is just like, guys, you're not going to sell 7.2 million copies to break even like Spider-Man 2. In fact, you have to sell more than that, actually, because Sony doesn't have to pay themselves a cut.
Yeah, also, I'm sorry. Captain America and Black Panther don't add up to a Spider-Man. They don't.
No, he's right.
Spider-Man is too big.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you have to spend less.
By the way, this is how troubling my mind is in remembering all of these superhero games that got greenlit and announced in the worst way humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching this trailer, okay? Marvel, 1943, Rise of Hydra. They show one character and they show another, and I'm like, okay, where's Wonder Woman? Because they also announced a Wonder Woman game at basically the same exact time that they had nothing to show for it.
Yeah, that might even end up also being in 1943. We don't know.
I mean, that is a World War II game. I think they went into that already.
They did. Oh my God. Stop.
And we still have no fucking idea when that's coming. And I think it's been in development even longer.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that... Oh, God. Is that being made by the people who made The Shadow of?
Yep.
That was revealed at the Game Awards 2021, and we haven't seen it since.
Isn't that the developers of Fear? And they're just stuck doing IP shit since?
Oh my God, has it been that? Because
I think so.
Because aren't they called Monoliths or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, they're called Monolith. They're also the developers of fucking Blood, the best first-person shooter ever made.
Corporate acquisitions are poggers.
Man, they don't even have like, there's not even a Wikipedia page for that Wonder Woman game yet. Like, we just don't know anything about it.
Even Wikipedia is like, that's not real.
You can't prove it.
This page has been flagged for being conspiracy theory bullshit.
I mean, I bet it's not real now that David Zaslav went down and was like, you got to make it a service game.
Right. Yeah. Man, that
They're
Hogwarts game did real well. Yes, sir, it did. And then everyone in the room braces. He's like,
imagine if it was a service game.
Imagine they're like, oh God, Jesus.
Imagine if you had to get different lassos for Wonder Woman and different gauntlets and different tiaras.
They're like, and her outfit's different, like the metal skirt and stuff. And it's like, well, that's sexist, sir. Well, okay, she wears different hats. She just wears hats, and it's like, sir, that's Team Fortress 2.
So that Riot MMO that they've been making, the League of Legends MMO,
Real quick.
apparently they're entirely...
Real quick, before we go into this, I do think Marvel's 1943 Rise of Hydra is a worse name than Immortals of Avium. I actually think
it's
that,
bad.
Bob.
Like,
I want your
yeah,
opinion.
Yeah,
Because
no, I agree. This is messed up.
With the target audience that you need. Your name you have to have a fucking isekai name. Your game needs to be entitled Captain America and Black Panther beat up Nazis. That needs to be the title of your game.
Yeah, you just put brand name 1943 and that's your game title? And then it has a subtitle? That's wrong. That's just incorrect.
That just sounds like a Disney Plus show.
Yeah, I mean, it's worse than that. Just putting, like he just said, the brand name as the first word in your thing. Not the character, not the setting, not a cool thing. Just Marvel. Like on the side of a box, just Marvel. Come get your fucking slop.
Right. It's fucking terrible. It's so bad, Chris.
It has really good facial animation, though. That's incredible that they were able to do his facial capture there.
Yeah, that's
definitely
insane.
that means I'm going to buy the game, right?
Yeah, apparently this is Unreal Engine 5 tech demo at GDC or some shit. What's up with this? I don't know. What?
Yeah, I think that's the deal with it.
I saw that floating around. What the hell?
Yeah.
Epic said, hey, check out this. They sure spent a lot of money making it a flop on our engine.
Yeah.
You know who I really trust to make a gigantic AAA game?
Who?
A studio that's never made anything before.
Well, Amy Hennig's there to guide the ship. Nothing ever bad happens.
Nothing bad ever happens to Amy Hennig. Wow! And then an Uncharted sequence happens to her Jeep.
The fact that the same studio is also making her Star Wars game, it's like, those are just both this doomed.
Oh God, they did. I forgot they were doing it at the same time. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So not one AAA game. Two? Or it's the canceled one.
No, it's still in development.
The canceled one was the Respawn one that was going to be about.
Well, no, I mean the older canceled one that Amy Hennig was.
Oh, she's on a new Star Wars game?
Yep.
And it's being made by the same people who are making this at the same time. Is that what you're telling me?
Is it called Disney's Star Wars and then some random number?
But yeah, it's Bagholder, Amy Bagholder Hennig.
Amy Hennig is one of the few people in this industry that I feel like could be yelled at by fans like she was a coach of a football team. Like it's you just for some reason she has such a dark cloud over her that all I can imagine is fans just getting angry.
I don't like nothing against Amy Hennig. I don't understand why she keeps getting involved with these giant IP projects that keep falling out from under her or bombing.
So if I were to try to explain, because obviously not her fault entirely, it's because IP games are the only ones getting greenlit, and they only get greenlit if they're giant projects, and giant projects are not doing well right now. Because as you may or may not recall, listener, from us bringing it up countless times and other developers and publishers talking about it regularly, very transparently, working with Disney or any rights holder on a game based on their thing is a nightmare because you spend forever making a thing and then some guy who has no fucking idea just goes, that doesn't really fit Captain America. And now you just wasted at least 12 people's last 7 months of their life.
Yeah, no, we just hearing how much they have to fight tooth and nail to have a Jedi
in Star Wars.
Like, what?
Yeah, I like this game. I'm just afraid this game is going to come out like gray mush that cost $500 million to make.
Oh, absolutely. That's like so probable.
Or it's unbelievably limited in scope and just really pretty, which is probably the best possible option. But that doesn't feel like a game that Disney would sign off on.
They should, because that's exactly what their audience would love.
Well, they're real stupid. So, sure, our audience would love it, but would it make $1 billion trillion? I'm like, well, nothing you make will do that.
Right?
Anyway, moving on. So the League of Legends MMO they've been making for like 6 or 7 years, they're starting over.
Oh no! Come on.
Mark Merrill, the co-founder of Riot, did like a Twitter thread the other day. He's like, yeah, we didn't want to ship the same MMO, but with Runeterra, so you're not going to hear about it for a couple of years. We're going completely dark.
It's like, I would love to make fun of this, but it's been a long, terrible year in this industry.
But aggro. It's only March, right?
Yeah, I'm sure Riot will be doing great a year from now. I'm sure
they cut
the
name
fat,
of the
now
game.
They're good. The name is not OKKO. That's the cartoon.
Yeah, it's Project L.
2XKO? Is
you got it.
That's
Yes,
right.
that is the name. That is the name. Yeah.
I'm sure that'll do great and not instantly bomb into the core of the earth and never be heard from again, literally the second it comes out. I'm sure that won't do just as bad as Multiversus.
Making a game in the studio system nowadays is such a nightmare. The fact that ever gets done is amazing.
It should. Tools are so much more powerful.
Yeah.
All the infrastructure around remote work is so much better now. You don't have to have an expensive office in an extremely high cost of living city.
What are you talking about? They have to come into the office. They
So I
have
can
to
yell at them, right?
Yeah,
of course.
exactly. Like, what is the point of
it's
making
like
a game if I can't,
the industry,
They don't.
every single improvement in development tools has been eaten by the pointless bloating of scope. Remote work is still fought against by all these fucking dull-witted executives who are like, well, but we spent money on the corporate offices, and that money will be wasted. We have to fire all these people we already hired because they it was remote work during COVID. It was a different time. We got to get rid of them because they won't move across the country to pay 3 times as much rent.
It's just an entire executive culture that seems designed to deny this industry cultivation of institutional knowledge.
Yes.
Here's the thing that makes me insane. John Riccitiello was fired from EA after his tenure EA because he posted 5 years of losses in a row.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't happen now. He'd get promoted somehow. Like he'd be given an enormous golden parachute. Because failing somehow is just as good.
Yeah. There's no
you,
lose.
You learn more
case.
from a loss than from a win, so that's
Obviously.
good experience.
He knows
You're
what
a
to
more
not
valuable executive now.
Some executive over the next 2 years, like this dam is going to break, and some executive's going to be like, sorry, instead of getting a golden parachute, we're going to decapitate you. And that'll be a beautiful day because it'll mark the end of this shit.
Yeah, listening to people in multiple different fields just talk about the number of creatives in the field hasn't gone up because they're not letting new people in as much. But the amount of executives and executive meddling and middle managers has gone up insanely the whole time.
That's crazy.
In every single field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I look at these games that have 5,000 people on the credits. I'm like, how do you organize that?
Poorly.
Does let's say a small state, let's say like a Montana. Does Montana have 5,000 government employees?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
So how do you, it's like Dan said, it's a miracle any AAA game is made.
Yeah.
Because the idea of even trying to organize 5,000 people makes my fucking head spin. You can't do it. It can't be done. It's this giant, wildly inefficient, lumbering monster that hopefully will eventually collapse in a state that is sort of like a game.
I was talking to someone and they were like, yeah, I have no interest in modern Hollywood movies or like games. And I was like, I have a deep commitment to knowledge fostered from a morbid curiosity about the entire timeline of both. And frankly, so few Western AAA games launch. Like we checked out Suicide Squad weeks ago, and I think we're good for at least a couple more months, aren't we?
What are you talking about? We got Alone in the Dark.
You checked Skull and Bones.
And
that's a quadruple A game.
And Hellblade comes out in May. So those 4 games were it for the first 5 months of this. Oh, wait, that's not even AAA.
No.
Like they've even said that themselves. Shit.
I doubt Alone in the Dark is either.
Yeah, Alone in the Dark isn't either. So
No,
it's
totally,
literally just
totally is.
It's literally just Suicide Squad and
Skull and Bones.
If Japan didn't have the most like gangbuster output they've had in years in gaming, right now, all on top of itself, this would be a light quarter. But instead, it's like here's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon 8. In all Grand
Unicorn
Blue,
Overlord,
and Unicorn Overlord,
Persona 3, Stellar Blade, which is Korean but still, Dragon's Dogma 2, Rise of the Ronin, but just getting pounded.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
Wow, and I can't believe that when you control the size of your teams and the scope of your games, you can make them.
Yeah, Team Ninja's released a game like Clockwork every 2 years.
Hey, Bob, I'm going to need you to not play Stellar Blade.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going to need you to hold off for 1 month.
Yeah?
Because I have the best flop-swap stream imaginable.
On.
The Hellblade versus Stellar Blade flop-swap death stream.
You are a monster. Do it. Do it. You should do it.
Yeah, I was already considering putting it off because it's $70. It doesn't look like a $70 game unless I play a demo and I'm like blown away.
Yeah, unless it feels like bizarrely good.
This is too funny.
No, that's too funny.
That's too funny. I mean, they're also exclusives for the respective platforms.
They are. And they are both. Stellar Blade is probably not AAA, but they're charging $70, so we should probably call it that.
We should probably. I mean, it has more credibility as a AAA game than Hellblade.
It does.
Meanwhile, Hellblade 2 is free.
Sure. Yeah. Basically.
So that evens out to like $35.
And then the last bit of news, Larian Studios said they have no plans to make any sort of DLC or expansion for Baldur's Gate 3. They also don't intend to make a Baldur's Gate 4. They intend to work on a new IP set. Like they confirmed it's new. We're not going back to Divinity. It's a new IP.
Ooh, that's cool.
That's sick.
Which says to me, they looked over at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast and went, We got to stay the fuck away from these guys.
Yeah, no, you got to get out from under that shit.
Right.
So about middle managers, executive meddling, and how hard it is to make a big video game underneath that.
Fuck Hasbro
like everybody
so hard.
Everybody who at Hasbro who helped them get Baldur's Gate 3 made is gone.
Mhm.
Like they bitched about that.
So
yeah, why stick around? They're just gonna try and fuck you.
They're going to
Good
make
for
a sci-fi game, and then Mass Effect will look like a joke forever.
I just hope that Hasbro accidentally wrote a clause in where they're just like, yeah, if you get this unreasonably high Metacritic and sell this many, you get a really good bonus, as though that'll happen. And then it did. And Larry is like, thank you! And runs out to the car and drives off. Oh, man. Good.
Yep.
Good.
Yes. Go make new things, Larry and Studios.
Mm-hmm.
You're all free now.
They also said like it's not going to be as big as Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. No shit.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Let's just all agree never to make Baldur's Gate 3 again.
Yeah, how many years was that? 4?
Fucking forever.
5? That's a long time.
Anyways, that's it for the news this week. As we mentioned earlier, Bob and I are doing the Alone in the Dark stream, flop swap technology powered stream, death stream on Sunday, because we have someone from out of town visiting us. Chris, you said Saturday you're doing
Killer is Dead.
Nice. Bob.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll take bets for everyone. Bob, which one's going to be worse? The one that came out Wednesday or the one that came in 16 years ago?
The one that came out Wednesday.
Chris?
The one that came out Wednesday.
Aggro.
The fact that I only learned this game existed by people complaining about it on Twitter, I'm going to go with the one that came out Wednesday.
Fuck. I hope the trade values something after this stream.
Yeah. They're like, actually, we're taking $10 from you in order to get rid of that game. And you're like, sure. Just take away the disc. I'm done. No, here's what you do. You bring it to like that retro game store, the locally owned one we go to.
Yeah.
And just see the look on his face when he's like, what the fuck? Is this a fake game? Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of Big Thing to Mention. We'll see you all next time. Or we won't, because it won't change the layout, so I can't actually end the... What the fuck is going on with the Stream Deck right now? You ever do a smooth outro and then technology says, oh, I'd be ashamed if I fucked that up right now.
Well, at least the camera didn't die again.
I mean, that's a cool consolation. Sure. Did you delete my fucking scene for ending the podcast?
What?
Whatever. We're improvising. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Big Spoiler Dimension. This podcast is only possible because technology just barely kept itself together long enough for us to do a single podcast. You can help us afford new technology to replace our broken technology over at patreon.com/gbpodcast and get access to early episodes of Pokemon Go to the Movies, Chugging Bleach, and more. And also a Hook review. Hook!